in the back corner when I'm not presenting.
Listening in.
And listen in.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Bash University Live here on Tuesday night.
Take a quick break. Watch John Cruz's on the Tokyo rig.
Be a part of the show. Get some chances to win some awesome prizes.
Just Bash Yugo. You know, we didn't have that back then, and dude, it can just...
That text thread gives me so much energy. I mean, like I'm dialed.
And action.
Welcome to Bash University Live. I love our advanced signal system here at Bash U.
I was flapping my arms like crazy over here. I almost flew away.
I was pulling the show up on Facebook,
Gotcha.
and I was looking down. But anyway, welcome guys. Welcome to Bash University Live. Glad you could hang out with us tonight, talk fishing. Really excited about tonight's show. It's one of the things that I really like to do, and it's going on right now at the Major League Fishing Heavy Hitters Tournament. It's blind fishing for spawning fish. When you're in a scenario where you can't quite see them that good, and there's, you know, it's that time of year, you know, they're crashing the banks, they're making beds. How can you recognize bedding areas? How can you catch these fish that are really tricky to catch? What are some strategies for both? We're going to be talking about that tonight. So get your questions ready. We've got a special guest. JT Kenny is going to be joining us tonight, fresh off commentating on the Major League Fishing Tour. And he's going to be we're going to be talking with him about his strategies on how to catch fish that you can't see. And it'd be really interesting too. He's got so much experience now in Florida. And how is he managing that down in Florida waters, the tannic waters of Florida, how that differs from smallmouth waters, largemouth waters, reservoirs all over the country. We're going to be taking it on. We're going to be catching fish that are spawning that we can't visually fish for. That's what we're going to be talking about tonight. So it's going to be a great show. We got our crew in the house tonight. We got professional fish head, fresh off his little vacation, and another top 5 finish in a BFL. Good to have you back, buddy.
Oh man, it's great to be back. You know, family's good, life's good. I love my job. Fish are biting when I go fishing. Had tacos for dinner. It's good, man.
That's awesome. Did you make the tacos? I know you're the chef at your house. No,
I am at times, but Catherine puts the taco bar for the kids, so they all get to make their own tacos. It's interactive, messy, and fun on Tuesday nights.
Yep, Taco Tuesday is a staple
right
at my house too, and I'm the taco man. Maybe I'll make them when we're out at the Classic this year.
All right.
World famous in the neighborhood for Pete's Tacos.
Awesome.
Of course, I know. I hear Leadbeater back there. Riz is here. I know he makes a mean fish taco.
Yeah, that's right, Pete. I was actually hoping every time I caught a fish this weekend that it would in fact be a catfish. It kind of overtook my bass fishing temporarily. All I had on my mind was fish tacos, but we were able to wrangle up some of the right species. It was a good weekend, and I'm excited about another Bash University Live here, talking about spawning fish when you can't see them, and that's usually what we have to deal with, Pete. So I can't wait to hear the tactics on ways to get those fish to bite, and maybe even pick JT's brain about how it works on a tidal water fishery.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll definitely be picking his brain on that. He's from Maryland, right? We're going to be fishing there. Great show. Riz, we got big shoes to fill. Justin Kimmel over there keeps jacking these big tournaments, and we have our first BFL this Saturday. So, man, we've got to step it up.
That's right, man. We really are. We do have a tough act to follow off Justin's latest performances. But hey, like we say every week, man. It's awesome to have that winning culture, and Bash University TV, baby. Watch, learn, win. It's that simple.
That's right.
Yep. And we want to give another shout out to a friend of the show, Craig Duran, who won the Five Alive 2-day tournament down on the Potomac River this past weekend.
That's a solid win.
Yeah, it is.
Oh yeah.
Megabucks.
You know how much he won in that tournament?
How much did you win, Pete?
He won almost $2,000 on a Five Alive
Nice.
In a
club
derby.
tournament.
Yep.
In a club derby.
Yep.
They
Wow.
have got something figured out down there. I think there
Wow.
was like 40 boats or something, participants in the event, and
Yeah.
what a payout,
And
man.
if he starts wearing his Bass U hat, I might have him on the show.
Wow.
You hear me, Craig?
Right, Craig?
I
I know
see
you. I know you got to have one of those
your hat.
hats. You had to pirate one out of my truck one of these times. How about you, BTC? BTC, were you out fishing this weekend?
I was, but before we dive into that, Rich,
Yes.
are you eating the snakeheads yet?
No.
Why?
I can't get them past my eyes.
Come on, man.
I don't know.
What?
You know
Talk to me.
you're throwing like 5 guys back to eat McDonald's.
Yeah.
You're eating catfish and throwing snakehead back.
Don't be knocking the catfish
I'm
till you
just-
try it now.
Oh, trust me, I've eaten the catfish on the Chessie. I'm just saying the snakeheads are supposed to be a delicacy.
Yeah, I hear that.
They brought
I,
them all the way from the other side of the planet.
I hear that. I caught a giant snakehead on a little Friday night special on the Delaware. I caught like a 12-pound snakehead. It was freaking
Whoa.
huge.
I would not eat the Delaware snakehead.
Yeah, neither would I.
Nah, no, you let that thing go.
Yeah.
Do you
Prophylactic
have
eating.
do you have possession of snakeheads? Like, are they in the freezer now, and you just haven't cooked them up yet, Rich? Or
No, I haven't kept or cleaned
Dude,
a snake.
he won't even touch them. He holds his line like this.
No,
and he's got the pliers like
Get
that.
out
He's
of
like-
here. You got me confused with somebody
they
else,
don't even
bro.
come over the side of the boat. He just holds them with
No way.
needle nose
Oh,
pliers.
man.
Get out of here with all that. I put the death grip on those suckers right behind their skull.
You know how the old people have
That's
the handle with the you know what I mean, for picking stuff up. They can't bend over. Rich has that for snakehead.
You're tripping.
There's extra long Rapala pliers.
Yeah.
It's the ones. He's got 'em. Rubber
Man.
gloves, like he's
Shoot.
cleaning fish.
I got to be honest, they're pretty intimidating, man. They look like a boa constrictor, and they're nothing but teeth up front.
They
Yeah.
look like predators.
That's why I can't eat them because they're so freaking ugly that I don't like.
A
I don't look at them and say like, man, this looks delicious.
a catfish.
Well, I've eaten them enough now that I know they're tasting good. So
Dude, them snakeheads got a dope paint job, man. They got all kinds of camo, high def.
yeah,
Uh,
They're actually
they're so tough. I mean, I've caught them, and we're supposed
they
to
can't take a
keep
punch.
them,
Pete.
eat them, supposed to kill them. I've caught them, thrown them up on the bank as far as I could. 30 minutes later, they just wiggle their way right back into the river.
Yeah,
And no harm done. They're just
gotta punch them in the head.
yeah, they're a ferocious animal. But I'm looking forward to that, Riz. You got to cook them up, man. I don't eat fish, but I'm interested to see if they're as good as they say they are. But
I'll let you know. Everybody says they're the best. So
I hear they are. I had a guy tell me that they are better than the striper down there. The guy that lives on the Chesapeake says
Yeah.
they're better than the striper.
wow.
So, yeah, so I had a derb Saturday. I fished up on Spruce Run with Justin, a young kid that I met through our guy Eric, the intern. Rough start, rough day, man. We ran into a lot of technical problems. Like just everything hit us. First thing in the morning, the Torpedo, I had an issue with the throttle on it, and I have that remote throttle on the front, so we were okay. I had the backup setup. The throttle was acting a little funky. Turns out I think it just needed to be recalibrated. I wasn't, kind of familiar with that. And I think some screws came loose from, I trailer that thing some distance. So, we all do. But anyhow, so day starts out. That was acting up. I switch over to my front throttle on the motor. Good to go. Blast off to our first spot, run across the lake, 20 minutes at 6 miles an hour. And fish that, nothing going on. We go to make another run. And the front motor, bzz, pop. Big puff of smoke comes up from the foot pedal. Done. So I tried to work on that. The power wire going into the brain module and the foot pedal. I guess either was corroded and got hot and melted away from it, or I'm not really sure exactly what happened, but it melted and it was away from it. So that motor was done, and we fished the rest of the day, 7 hours of the day or more, with the back motor only, which is not ideal, you guys know. But it wasn't just that. It was the back motor that the guy in the back of the boat is steering and the guy in the front of the boat's controlling the throttle on. So it was extra difficult. It was we were like a two-headed or two-person horse out there all day. So
you made it past noon?
What's that?
You made it past noon?
We were catching them, man. I got on them. I followed up a pattern that, I picked up on when we were there last year, and we were getting bit, dude. We started catching them, got a limit.
Awesome.
It was a tough one because I know that we had the bites. We had the bite for second place, and I think if we could have been operating close to 100%, we probably could have, won or at least contended. But so that kind of stinks. But Justin had a 4-pounder on, and it ran him into the motor. Of course, when you're running from the back motor only, you do stuff like leave the motor on kind of slow to hold you in position against the wind. And yep, that's what happened.
Where'd you finish up? You still did pretty good, right?
Fourth, yeah.
Yeah, that's strong.
Yeah, we were right there. So
it's all about top fives here at Bash
Top
University.
fives.
I want to win, man.
That's coming. You get enough
Justin.
enough top fives. You keep knocking on the door, that door will open.
That's right.
That definitely will happen. I was blessed. I went out on the Chesapeake on Saturday, one of the prettiest days of the year this year. Man, in T-shirts, no wind. You could really run around, and saw some big pre-spawn, just fish that had been gorging on herring and whatever else, and now they're getting ready to spawn. So that was cool, and had a lot of fun doing that. The other one was the on-water training season started for me yesterday. I was working with a customer really on sonar. We had dual Humminbird Solixes, Solix 10s, working with side imaging, identifying offshore habitat. It's just unbelievable, the mega imaging, the how clear you can see. This particular lake we were working on had Christmas trees planted, had cribs, had natural fallen trees, had rock outcroppings, a lot of bait, just amazing tool to work with. So it was great to be able to do that, and got a lot more of those trips coming, guys. If you want to do an on-water training trip with the Bass University guys, you can go over to thebashuniversity.com. We've got a whole host of anglers that work in your part of the country. So that's thebashuniversity.com. You can get that all done. But that was great. Look forward to doing a lot more trips with that. And I'm really excited because this lake that I worked on, I'd never been there before, and it was really clear. I'm really looking forward to getting the Aqua-View down on my next trip there, which is going to be next week, and looking at the fish species, looking at the habitat that we identified on our sonar unit. So it's really, really cool. But what was neat? I was in a really cool boat. I love this boat. It's one of those Ranger hulls. It was a walleye hull. Those big giant. It's like 22-foot walleye boat, but it's got a bass boat cap. It's they only make them selectively now. I can't remember the model.
Wow.
But good God, you could have an entire Bass University seminar on the deck of this boat. It's so big. It's just huge. That was a lot of fun. But guys, we got that. Everything's happening. Everything's popping. I want to invite you guys to follow me and Rich this Saturday at the BFL. We'll be giving you guys some content, hopefully keeping you guys updated on what's happening with us out there at the BFL. And tonight's show, it's all about looking for spawning fish that you can't see, catching spawning fish that you can't see. We got JT Kenny coming on if you're just joining us. He'll be with us here in just a couple of minutes. And we've got a lot of great prizes like we always do, Riz, on Bass University Live. What do we have in store for the folks tonight?
So tonight, Pete, our Facebook like and share is going to be a TH Marine G-Force culling system. The way that you can win that prize is if you're over there on Facebook and you insist on not coming over to Bash U TV, just like and share tonight's feed and you'll be entered in for a chance to win that TH Marine G-Force cull system. And then also we have a grand prize tonight, which is TH Marine Bash University official gear, missile baits, and Rapala. That's valued at over $100. And the way that you can get involved and win that prize is you have to be a Bash University TV member. At the end of tonight's show, we're going to take a random trivia question, and we're going to ask that during the show. And if you get that question right, you win that prize. Now, the way that you can get signed up right now is head over to bashu.tv, take advantage of our 50/50 promotion, and get $50 off your annual membership, or get unlimited access to the program 50 days for free. And right now we have over 800 videos on our website, all designed to help you catch more big bass. Plus, if you're a Bash University TV member, you can ask questions during the show, and we'll ask them on the show. And if we ask your question on the show, we're going to send you a prize. Crankbait, buff, hat, something's coming in the mail your way. And also, we may be bringing on some subscribers later in the show tonight to ask questions live on camera with us, guys. So if you've been on the fence about getting signed up for Bash U TV, don't wait. Now's the time. Head over, take advantage of our 50/50 deal, and join the best program in bass fishing. You know, like we said, it's a winning culture. Watch, learn, win. It's the Bash University.
Watch, learn, win. I love it. And once again, I want to welcome Empire Covers to Bash University. You want to protect all of your gear, whether you have an ATV, a camper, a boat, like we all have. You want to keep it tight. You can go over to empirecovers.com/Ike. Use the code BASHU21, and we are going to hook you up with 15% off one of the best covers in the industry. It's going to keep your stuff tight, keep it nice, and you want to go ahead and check that out. And we have a lot of great stuff that's available from all of our partners. For all the people that subscribe, we have our members benefits. Guys, you got to go check this out. If you're a subscriber to Bash U TV and you don't know about this, we have a members benefits section on the site. It's over on the website. Go check it out. It's up to 40% off Rapala stuff, 40% off Flambeau, missile baits, 30% off. Cash and Icon discounts, Gills gear, 25% off. Of course, 15% off Empire Covers and Sea Clear Power. Guys, this is really important with all the sonar that we're using. We want the Sea Clear Power harness. You don't lose voltage to your sonar units. They will upload quickly. They will find bottom quickly, and you're not going to have problems. It's very important with all the electronics that we're using these days. And of course, Tackle Warehouse. Love the boys at Tackle Warehouse. We're going to have Tackle Warehouse on the show next Tuesday. So that'll be a lot of fun. Look forward to talking to those guys about everything that's happening in the world of tackle. So BTC, I think we're going to take a quick commercial break. Are you ready for me?
Yeah. Let's take that commercial break, Pete. And when we come back, we're going to come back to JT Kenny, probably. Working on getting them the link somehow. It's whatever.
All right. So
we got 2 minutes to make it happen.
Definitely us. Probably JT. We'll be right back after this. Work some magic, bro.
All right.
Why do you love catching fishing rods?
I'm truly losing less fish.
Is the sensitivity of the rod.
That they're made right here in North Carolina in the USA.
Strongest, lightest rod, 100% made here in Sanford, North Carolina.
From the drop shot rod to the flipping stick, every rod has a purpose to it, and I rely on them all the time when I'm out there in a tournament.
Durability in the John Cruz Worman series, the counterbalancing in the handle.
It's the only rod I found that can withstand my hook set. Boom goes the dynamite.
We're different. Some would say obsessed. There's no place on earth we'd rather be than right here, right now. Performance-driven gear, so you can fish longer, harder, Gill's Performance Fishing.
2021 Red Crest champion Dustin Connell here, and if you watch live coverage, we just got done at Lake Eufaula. I caught my fish using the active target with Lowrance. What you didn't see is I run a Sea-Clear power harness in my boat. One of the main advantages to running this harness is it does not drain my batteries down at all running my 4 units. And what that's going to allow me to do is I'm able to see my bait at 8 a.m. just as good late in the day. Y'all check them out at seaclearpower.com.
You take pride in your boat, so it deserves the best protection possible. Our durable woven fabric prevents ripping and provides UV protection, and our tape seams provide protection against the elements. The heavy-duty shock cord hem and strap and buckle system provide a tight and secure fit. Our top-of-the-line boat covers come with a ventilation system to keep your boat free from mold buildup. Empire Covers, protecting what you love.
You now, man. How are you, buddy?
And we're live.
Good. You guys are a little quiet on me.
We had a little audio issue with you, JT. We couldn't hear you, but we hear you now. And I want to welcome everybody back to Bass University Live. We're just coming out of commercial break. And can you hear us okay, JT? You got us over there?
You're kind of quiet.
BTC, get them hooked up.
Well,
Kick that volume up.
So.
Hey, how about now?
That's better.
There it is.
Yeah.
That's a Cybers
See,
JT Kenny, I know.
I gotta learn how to figure all this stuff out, right?
Maybe.
You're getting it. Getting it on when the pressure's on, man. It's the best time to figure it out.
Exactly. I thrive under pressure.
Yeah. Man, speaking of dude, you've been on the air for like 100 hours today.
Oh, it seems like it's a lot longer than that.
Man, I appreciate you coming on the show. I'm like, there's no way JT's coming on tonight. He's got to be smoked after calling that show all day.
No, it's not that big a deal. I'm getting used to it by now. Been doing it for 5 days, about 10 hours in a row. I got one more day tomorrow, but it's kind of exciting, dude, because this lake that we're on right now, I mean, or series of lakes here around the Raleigh area. I'm actually in Tulsa, Oklahoma at the studio, but dude, they're catching them. I mean, 7-pounder was the biggest one they caught today, but in the previous days we had one day that we had like 38 5-pounders, like 18 6-pounders. I don't know, 7 or 8 7-pounders, 2 8s and a 9 in one day. Like that. No matter how long you're sitting at that desk, if you can't get excited over watching guys catching fish like that, there's something wrong with you.
What fish better, Falls or Jordan?
Jordan did.
Okay.
Jordan did for sure. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. Now, Falls was still good, dude. They caught 8-pounders at Falls too, but Jordan overall was a little bit better.
Well, is that still upsetting to you, BTC, to see all these 5-pounders caught when you didn't have such a good practice round down there with Ike?
Such a good?
I heard it wasn't good at all.
That's a nice way to say caught nothing in 3 days. Literally nothing. Zero. Such a good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So every time Marty Stone says how amazing Sharon Harris is, like, damn it, Marty.
Right.
It's so amazing when I was there.
Blame you. I don't blame you a bit. The only thing that I have is that, that is a power plant lake.
Yeah.
And when it was really, really cold back a month or two ago, apparently when they get a shocking cold like that, I guess a lot of the shad and a lot of the bass, I guess, swim up towards that where the warm water comes out. I don't know if I buy that or not. I don't know if somebody went and stuck a transmitter up the arse of a bunch of bass to see if that's what they actually do or not. But it seems like it's a pretty good excuse, I guess.
Yeah, the you can't be here zone.
Right.
When you don't catch them, that's where they're at 100% of the time.
and I hear up around that nuclear power plant, I like to, you guys known me for a long time. I really like to look at laws and rules, more of like loose guidelines.
Same.
Yeah. And apparently up there around that power plant, they don't feel as such. They feel a little bit more strongly, if you will, about that. You may not want to be up in there.
That's so funny. I was I was out at Lake Erie on one of the power plants, and I saw the discharge, and I ran up to it and started fishing. And this was right after 9/11.
Oh,
and,
that probably didn't go good either.
I looked, and it was real windy. That's why I was up on the bank, and I know, and all of a sudden, all the like military guys with automatic weapons started lining up shoulder to shoulder on the bank, and right where I was fishing. And then I just suddenly, after about 5 minutes of just watching them, just of interest, I realized that they were doing this for me.
Not good. Not good.
So I was able to escape without being arrested. So
I have an exactly similar story to that. Right after 9/11, I was down on Lake Wheeler in Alabama. There's that big, what do they call it, Browns Ferry, I think, or something. The big nuclear plant there, just south of Decatur Flats.
Mm-hmm.
Exact same thing happened. I'm not thinking anything. I'm just fishing. I'm like practicing for a bass tournament, right? And all of a sudden, all these Jeeps start coming flying down and everything, and I'm like, whoa, okay, I'm good. I'll just leave. Yeah, I didn't know they were going to arrest me or what. I mean, I'm just throwing a shad wrap down the bank. Give me a break here.
I know. I went into the canals on Lake Erie, and I'm like, I just got close to a dock where the helicopters couldn't see me. I'm like, I know they're sending military, Coast Guard. I don't know. They're sending everybody.
Somebody's coming for me.
We escaped. We escaped, so that's good. Hey man, we're here. We're talking. We're going to talk tonight about something that we're seeing on the Heavy Hitters Derby a lot. We're seeing a lot of guys sight fishing, but we're going to talk tonight about catching those bedding fish that you can't see.
A lot of that going on.
Yeah, and the strategies for that, and what we can look for, and what are you seeing in the tournament? Like what are some of are you seeing some guys doing some interesting stuff that you haven't seen before, or what's really working in that vein?
I don't know if I'd go with stuff that I really haven't seen before, but I've watched a lot of things that I think has reiterated stuff that I think I knew, but I've noticed a lot of these guys. So the first two lakes they were on, Falls and Jordan, dirty water. I don't want to call it muddy, but I'll definitely call it stained for sure. So I'm talking about visibility of 8 inches to maybe 1.5 feet. But these guys were getting in areas where, just typical spawning stuff, where there was more than likely hard bottom, kind of things, which a lot of those lakes are. A lot of those lakes down there in that Raleigh area, they're silted in, but a lot of that silt is out in the middle of the bays, and it seems like around the banks, the bottom still seems to be fairly hard. So you don't see a lot of the guys fishing a lot of isolated cover that's way off the bank, if you know what I mean. You're seeing guys fishing isolated cover. Like what they're running into is one single bush along the bank seems to be much more productive than if you have a 50 yards of bushes. You know what I mean? So and maybe not just one, but maybe if you have 3 or 4 bushes in a little clump where there's no bushes for 100 yards or so, seems to be a lot more productive. But still, it seems to be like those guys are catching them along the bank. But basically, most of the presentations on those ones where they really can't see them, the guys, and something that on some of my seminars that I've done with the Bass University before, a lot of things what I talk about on those sight fishing deals, when you're fishing isolated pieces of cover that you're expecting there to be a fish spawning there. One of the big things that I like to talk about, and I saw a lot of guys doing it this week, if it's a bush, and I keep referencing bushes because that's what a lot of that stuff around those Raleigh lakes are. If the bush was sticking out of the water far enough where the guys could pitch past the bush and let the bait settle to the bottom and then bring the bait up to the bush instead of actually pitching it right beside the bush, that seemed to be something that was working a lot. And I think one of the reasons that is because the water's pretty shallow. It's not up as high, and those bushes aren't real flooded. You know what I'm saying? Like there's not there's not 2.5 or 3 feet of water on those bushes. A lot of those bushes only had maybe 18 inches of water on them. So those fish are a little spooky. You know, they don't have much of a roof over their head. You know, so they're a little bit spooky. So that pitching past the bushes and sneaking your bait up to the bush. And here's something that when I'm talking about doing that, something that I use in my mind a lot. And I've talked about it before on Bass University seminars. I almost try to in my mind picture I'm actually trying to sneak my bait past the bush. Or the last seminar I did for Bass University, we were talking about lily pads, but it's kind of the same thing. You know what I mean? But I'm almost trying to sneak my bait as close to the base of that bush as I can without the bass noticing it. And it seems like on those real spooky fish, that's kind of a big key to get them to bite. You know, and I saw a lot of the guys doing that. And Pete, I know you've experienced some of those things, haven't you?
Oh yeah. I mean, that's what we do around here. I mean, we have visibility just like that, you know, Chesapeake and all these places around here, we're always forced to blind fish for them. And, but yeah, they get spooky. They get spooky when the water's low on them. But you said something that was interesting to me, JT, is the importance of hard bottom. You got to, I mean, it's spawn season, and it was interesting how your mind went right to that by watching these guys. Like, that must be where they're finding the hard bottom, because you keep seeing them bank oriented. You know,
well, it is, and I actually asked Andy Morgan, and I asked a lot of the anglers, but I noticed those guys. And like I said, to me, the isolated cover when you're in spawning time, isolated cover. Now, if we were post spawn, they're garden fry or maybe even done garden fry, like they're fixing to move out and go deeper, I would start looking for those big long stretches of bushes. But when you know they're actually spawning, I'm going to look for those isolated ones. And so many times I saw guys go into these pockets, and there would be isolated bushes all out in the middle. But they would just go to the bank, and they're not like going, you know, like over their shoulder out towards the middle and pitching to those bushes out there. They're just sticking to the ones on the bank. So I asked Andy Morgan, I'm like, Andy, why, you know, there's like these bushes. And he said, Jake, they are completely silted in. Anything that's out off the bank is silted in. All the hard bottom was up on the bank, and it was like, boom, you know, like, it just perfectly made sense.
Did Andy call you Jake?
Jake, yeah. I don't. Yeah, there's Jake, which is Jake, okay. And then a lot of people call me Jate too, which is Jate. And I think Jate was short for JT, just people that were just too lazy to say J and T.
You can't, you know, 2 letters. I mean,
just cut it off at Jate. And then I think some people started thinking that those people were calling me Jake, which was actually my first dog's name, which I loved him, and I'm fine with being called after my dog, so that's fine too.
He's a good dog.
Right, but so I've morphed into JT, Jake, and Jate, and Stephanie, my girlfriend of a million years, seems like anyway.
Shout out to Steph. Yo, Steph.
Shout out to Steph.
What's up, girl?
Hey, Steph.
So Steph loves BTC, by the way. Absolutely loves it.
It's mutual.
So anyway, but she calls me Jate, the Jate. But trust me, I've answered to a lot worse. Matter of fact, a lot of people think JT stands for Jive Turkey, which it's fine. You know, I was born in the 70s, so.
That's right. That's right.
You're the snake man in my phone.
That's my boy. Hey, speaking of Mr. Kimmel there, does that guy just breed fish now? Does every time he gets on a boat and just casts out there, does he just win all the time?
Just jump in the boat.
Hey, can brother hold $1 over here?
Anytime you need $1, I got you, buddy. Anytime. You know that.
I don't think JT needs it right now, but
no, he doesn't.
You don't either. You don't either, JK. My God, you're winning at an amazing rate, man.
Both dollars you guys don't want.
Extra dollars.
Yeah, me and Rich both, I'm sure.
Hey, when I met JT, I didn't have any dollars, and he had to make like four checks a year just to keep the lights on. So I'd say we both came a long way since then.
We have, but I still remember the first time I ever stayed with you. Your ringtone. No, your alarm tone on your phone.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, your wife definitely put that on there. Like for sure. But then I met his wife and realized that he married up, so I wasn't nearly gonna bust his balls.
He sure did. So
what
was the
he
ringtone?
did. There's no doubt.
What's the ringtone?
Oh, it was
something
song.
really feminine.
Wait. Let's get some guesses. Rich, what do you got?
I'm gonna go with like I don't really know much country songs, but I'm gonna say it's some kind of like moonlight country song. I don't know.
No, it was some kind of like
dumbass. You so you had a bad day. Remember that song?
Yeah, no, it wasn't that either.
That one.
No, it was a Drew Holcomb and the Neighbors song that we probably danced to or something, back during our wedding or something like that. But the words, I won't repeat the words that came out of Jake's mouth when I woke up that day. But we were practicing for an FLW tour that I was co-angling and practicing with them. And I'll never forget that moment. I mean, I got harassed and made fun of the entire week.
So I think the song between him and his wife was probably a beautiful moment, and that's awesome. But you don't bring that to a house full of dudes at a tournament.
No, you don't.
You know what I mean? Like I'm sure that memory is awesome, and that's a super pleasant way for Justin to wake up every morning. And I have no problem with that. Where the problem lies is when he brings that into a house full of dudes that are snoring and farting all night, and then we wake up to that. That's where it doesn't work.
Let's be honest, Jake. Me and you are almost nothing alike. I couldn't even set the hook on a Cinco when I met you. And that song brought us together.
and we're literally like best buddies ever since. So
that's awesome.
You know what? You're right. I cannot make fun of that song. And I won't. From here on out, I will never bring that up again unless I have to.
So what's the ideal ringtone to wake up to when you're in a house full of dudes then, JT?
Some metal.
I don't know what it would be, but it wasn't that. I can tell you that. I mean, it would have to be, I don't know, like something like, I don't know, Slow Ride by Foghat or something, like go. Just, yeah, like some dude.
Smoke
I don't know,
on the
Train
Water
by Blackfoot. Something like that. Or how about just the standard
get up and get out and go fish. Go catch some fish,
like
man. Come on.
Fighting in an hour and a half. You got to get moving.
This is not time for romance. Come on.
Right.
Let's go fishing.
Right. You wake up at home to that. Not with the dudes. We got a dude bro going on.
All right. Well, next time JT is speaking for Bass University, we definitely got to get into his phone and get that ringtone established for him.
I'm good with it. Because I'll wake up and be like, I know exactly who did it. I know.
I had no idea that led to the bromance that we got going on here.
It did.
But speaking of this bromance, you mentioned it, but JK, you won a tournament, the BFL here, and you won it fishing for spawning fish that you couldn't see.
Yeah, I mean they were paired up the day before in practice, shaking them off on a jig, and they got on the seawalls. Well, the ones that won it for me, I still caught a few on the jig on docks that morning, but man, I knew something had changed, and let's see, this is March, so it was like the very first ones that went to spawn in the backs of these pockets that I had found them in, and pulled out a frog, went over there, got a bite, missed it, threw it back in there, caught a 6-pounder, threw a Cinco in there, caught a 4-pounder. They were paired up, and then went around and got another one on a seawall on a Cinco. Probably caught 7 or 8 that way, but it was blind bed fishing, which, man, the spawn's been awful with me. I've been privy to some awesome things. I got to see JT do that sneak up on it stuff firsthand in Florida. honestly, the guy taught me how to sight fish that tournament we were practicing together down at Hartwell. But yeah, I just kind of rolled with it. You kind of predicted that would happen though, Pete. The night before.
Well, when you get those trends, right, that's when you're going to look for that. And you were facing that where the water was warm and getting those warm nights. You got to look for those fish to make the transition. But let's do this. Let's identify the habitat. So to help guys out, where are the places you're going to look for fish to spawn? You found them on seawalls. The boys down at the MLF event are isolated bushes on the bank. Let me throw it to you, JT. Where are other places that you're going to look? And I don't care from Florida to New York. What kind of places can we look for fish to spawn?
So it all depends on when you think the spawn has started. And let's just real quick, just for a second, go back to what Professional Fish Head said over there. He said in the backs of the pockets. Now, the very first ones that go to spawn, yep, just like Justin said, backs of the pockets. That's going to warm up the quickest. It's going to stay. It's as long as it's a pocket that doesn't have a lot of cold wind blowing into it. That's why we always kind of talk about that north side of the lake, or at least if it's a pocket in the south end, maybe it's not a straight pocket that's connected to they have to be connected to the main lake. But you know what I mean? It's not a straight run to the main lake. Maybe it's got a dog leg or something in it that'll keep that cold north wind from blowing into it. That's the kind of places that you would look early. Just for instance, say, you're in central Georgia, central Alabama to North Alabama, North Georgia type stuff, where you're figuring the spawn is going to start. Help me out here a little bit, Justin. Mid-March.
Yep, mid-March, full moon in March. Yep.
It's going to start. But not what most people have to understand, and I'm talking about from Lake Okeechobee to Lake Champlain and every place in between, and East Coast to West Coast, all the fish do not spawn at the same time. I started learning that where I really started learning it was on the Potomac River in Maryland years ago, and then I started spending a lot more time in Florida. And started realizing it down there too. It's very broad in Florida. I mean, you'll have fish spawning from December to April. Most other places aren't that long, but most places, like we were saying, for instance, say central Alabama, Georgia to North Alabama, Georgia, it'll go pretty much from mid-March to mid-April. So if you're in the earlier part of that time frame, you want to start looking in protected areas on the north sides of anything, because that'll be the area that's protected from the north wind. So you want to start looking at that stuff. Whereas, once again, referencing at Georgia, Alabama area, if you go down there and say the first week of April, or right now, the second week of April, you might start looking on the main banks of the creeks instead of all the way in the back. You know what I mean? And just like the guys in North Carolina right now, they're starting to find those spawners not just in the backs of the coves. They're starting to find them more closer to the main lake. And what was really hot today on Sharon Harris Lake, it's where the guys had the knockout round today for the MLF event. Short main lake pockets instead of the big long creeks. They're and the main lake warms up slower. But now that we're getting towards the end of let's call it the meat of the spawn, because I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you can't go to Gunnersville or Sharon Harris or something and find a fish on a bed in May, because absolutely you can. But the meat of the spawn is going to be, end of March, 1st of April, those 3 or 4 weeks right there. So when you start getting towards the end of those 3 or 4 weeks, like I said, you start looking maybe even some main lake banks, but for sure, like short main lake pockets. So when you say, where do you start to look, you kind of have to have an idea. So really the only way you can go on that is to get an idea. If you're traveling to a lake that you don't fish all the time, you want to look at the water temperature, and say, if it's in the high 50s, low 60s, they may, just be getting started. Where when you start seeing, I'm talking about in the morning water temperatures. I'm not talking about you had 180-degree day and, in the back of some pocket, it's 74 degrees. I'm talking about main lake morning water temperatures. When you start seeing they're 71, 72 degrees, that's when you need to start looking on the main lake for those spawners.
That's huge, man. That's so key and well said to take people through all that, because they definitely spawn it. And the importance of that main lake is, one of the things we deal with on the rivers like the Potomac, and all these rivers around here is it's not so much the importance of the water temperature back in the pockets. It's important the water temperature on the main river, because that seems to be the indicator to, when the main body gets into that 60-degree range, all of a sudden, that's when it happens. Your pockets can already be in 70 degrees, but it seems to be that main river that triggers them off. But you're absolutely right. And, I wrote down some things that are, and I know you give a seminar on lily pads. That's in Florida, a lot of places, heck, even down the Chesapeake, the lily pad roots and lily pad stems, that's a huge place to look for spawning fish.
Absolutely, man. Before the Potomac River got so much grass in it, which now I hear it's starting to lack a little bit of that again too. But man, we used to catch a lot of the spawning fish, in April and May on the Potomac River. Man, that's what we fished was lily pads. I mean, that's what we fished. Unless you knew a couple of little, hard bottom areas back in protected stuff, which you typically didn't find. Those were really hard to find because of siltation. So yeah, I mean, when spawning time before the Potomac was full of grass, it was lily pads. That's what you fished, lily pads and dock pilings.
And one of the coolest things is I interviewed Brian New, just one down at the St. John's.
Oh yeah, Brian's a good buddy of mine.
And one of the cool things, and I'm Rich, I'm going to throw it to you for some IM questions right after this, but he was talking about how he fished through the lily pad. Credits you, by the way, a lot on, helping him. And, he learned a lot about lily pads by some of the stuff that you've done and seen. And one of the things he talks about, the tug of war in the pads. Most guys lose fish because they try to horse the fish through the pads instead of using the JT Kenny approach, which is a little bit different. What is the JT Kenny approach to get those suckers out of the pad?
So one is just go get them. I mean, I think everybody, and I'm going to use Florida and for an example, everybody in Florida throws braided line around those lily pads when what I call blind casting at spawners, just kind of what we started talking about. And you will get and I know somebody's going to argue with me about it, and that's fine. That's why we live in a great country where people can have different opinions, apparently. But casting fluorocarbon, and I don't care what brand you use, it doesn't matter, whatever. But you will I'm going to say #fact. You will get more bites casting that kind of stuff with fluorocarbon. Problem in that lies when you set the hook and those fish are around a couple of those pads. When you set the hook with braid, it just cuts those pads off. And when I say pads, I'm talking about in particular, which Pete, you're very familiar with in the mid-Atlantic section. Most of the pads that we fish in the spawn time in Florida are spatter dock pads. The exact same thing we have in a lot of the tidal rivers in the mid-Atlantic.
Right.
So braid can cut those. Fluorocarbon will not cut those. It just won't. So you just don't get excited. Don't freak out. Just keep the line tight. Just let them do whatever they're going to do. And if they get tangled up, you just go in there and get them. But there's one other thing too that is truly this is a serious insider tip right here. But everybody that's listening to us tonight, I encourage you to be very diligent and very careful when using this, because this is something that if you're not careful, you can hurt some bass doing this. And when I say hurt them, I mean that derogatory. I'm not using that as a good term. letting them when they're not biting really, really well, I call it you're going to Bobby Lane them. And what I mean by that is 10's too much. 10 is too much because you're going to deep hook a lot of fish.
Right.
But when you feel that, just instead of just reeling down and jerking right away, just give them a little bit of time. Not strip line out Bobby Lane style, which Bobby Lane is a better pad fisherman than me. Don't get me wrong, but I just want our listeners to be a little bit diligent about this, because you can deep hook a lot of them doing that. But if you give them just a 2 count or so, a lot of times what that'll do is that'll get that hook where the hook is back in their mouth instead of through their lip. And a lot of times that's how you lose fish in pads, is that hook is through the fish's lip. And a spatter dock has a great big stem on it.
Yeah.
So when that hook is through the fish's mouth, when you pull that fish up next to one of those spatter dock stems, the hook actually hooks into the spatter dock, and it does what we call a transfer, where it actually just transfers the hook out of the fish's mouth into the stem. Where if you just give them like a 2 count and then hit them, a lot of times the hook won't be down in their gullet, but it'll be back in their mouth far enough that the point of the hook is not protruding out through their lip. And then that way you can actually guide those fish out of those pads a little bit better.
Wow, that's great stuff. And one of the tips, and you guys got to go listen to Brian New's interview on Bass U TV. This was really cool. He talks about working his bait through the pads. Like, he's pulled down, he's working slow and diligent, trying to intersect the bed, and he can feel the depth change. Like, he can feel the bowl. Mm-hmm. And that's what he was feeling for in the pad fields, was
the depression.
And once he felt the depression, he knew he was on a bed, and he would soak it, and he would, and of course, remember where that's at. And that was huge, huge key to his win.
So let me interject a question real quick. What makes a depression in a lily pad feel differently than what is around it, JT?
Well, so let me give you so the times that Brian and I had fished together, I let me explain it just a little bit differently, and I'm not taking away from what Brian said in any way. The depression that he's talking about is not necessarily an actual depression in the bottom. It's where the bass has cleared out the little bit of like fuzzy grass that's on the bottom. So the instance that Brian and I were I'm sure he was talking about. So we were fishing an area. We did it on Lake Okeechobee together. We did it on Lake Kissimmee together. So some of the best isolated fishing, whether it's isolated pads, what Brian was talking about, whether it's arrowheads or flags, mother-in-law tongues, that's all the same thing. Whether it's round reeds or flat reeds or cattails, any of those isolated things, the best places are where there's a little bit of, whether it's hydrilla just starting to grow off the bottom in the springtime during the spawn, or it's milfoil, or it's pondweed, or whatever. There's a little bit of fuzzy grass on the bottom. So when I'm talking about casting past a piece of cover and dragging it up to it, this is exactly what Brian's talking about too. You're dragging it through that fuzzy grass on the bottom, and then when you get next to that lily pad or that cattail or whatever, and you drag it up to that cattail, and all of a sudden for like 2 pulls, you can feel there's no fuzzy grass on the bottom. And then all of a sudden you hit the other edge of the grass, and then the next couple of drags you make, you can feel that it's the fuzzy grass on the bottom again. So there's a cleared out bed beside that mother-in-law tongue or that reed or that lily pad. So that's when you make multiple casts to it. So it really is. But that's the deal where you got to be paying attention, because you can't use a real heavy weight doing that because the fish just for whatever reason don't like, like a 1/2 ounce weight. You could feel that much more efficiently, but you won't get as many bites. So you have to feel that with like an 1/8 ounce weight.
Right.
And that just makes it a little bit harder. If it's windy, it's hard to do. I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat it. If it's windy, it's hard to do. But yeah, when you feel like a void beside an isolated piece of cover, bingo, that's a bed.
Yeah. Your antenna's got to go up. Like, yeah, we're in bed. And you got to pay. You must have to pay attention like to every little detail, like every inch of that cast.
But that's what we're trying to do here at Bass University. We're trying to teach people all these little things that like, so somebody says, well, why did Brian New go out there and win that Elite Series event and smoke everybody when everybody else knew how to fish pads? What's those little details? It's that little stuff. And that's what we're trying to teach here.
Absolutely. And he did it. And that little detail, he did it in a community area, right? A known area. Where a lot of people were fishing,
Oh yeah,
that was quite impressive. Riz, I know the IM board's lit up. We've been just having fun talking with JT, but what's going on over on the IM board?
Right. So the first question I'm going to go with here is going to be from Gone Fishing, and Gone Fishing, congratulations, you won yourself a $25 Gills Gear gift card for this question.
Woo! Wait a minute, what?
A wop babaloo.
And the question is, man. JT, what is your all-time favorite bait for bedded fish?
Great question.
It would be, I'll go on record. It would be a 6-inch stick worm. It doesn't matter what brand, but like not the 4-inch, not the 5-inch, not the 7-inch, a 6-inch stick worm.
6-inch. That's big. That's
a little bit bigger one, but I think that they get a little bit more intimidated by it. But that is blind bed fishing. That's blind bed fishing. That's not when you have to get up there and look at them bed fishing. That's blind bed fishing. But it would be a 6-inch stick worm in dirty water, or tannic water like in Florida. It would be absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, black with a neon blue tail. Any other watercolor, clearer water, it'd be green pumpkin, and then super clear water would be watermelon red.
Texas rig?
Yeah.
Pegged or unpegged?
Some pegged, and Texas rig, usually with a 5/0 trocar, just regular worm hook, not an EWG, just a regular R-bend worm hook at TK100.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, that's interesting. I'm very similar in that regard. But I'm interested. I mean, maybe Florida is different. I don't know, but you mentioned intimidating the fish. That's why you go with the bigger bait when you're blind fishing for them.
I do. It just seems like I will get, once again, blind fishing. This isn't when I'm up on top of one looking at it. This is blind fishing. I seem to get more bites, and and I've messed with it too. Like I've tried, had one rod rigged up with a 4-inch, one with a 5, one with a 6, and went out in an area. Like I remember distinctly one day doing it at Stick Marsh, where there's a lot of eelgrass, a bunch of holes in the eelgrass, fish everywhere, right? Like they're biting, like they're in these holes, and they would I could get bit on the 4-inch, the 5-inch, and the 6-inch, but they just hit the 6-inch just harder. Like it wasn't just like the 4-inch to 5-inch, you'd lift up and it just be going down. Mm-hmm. Then you pitch that 6-inch one in a hole, and it would go dunk, like they meant to kill it or whatever they're trying to do, defending the bed. And that kind of got me on it. And, that FLW tour I won at Kissimmee Chain, that every fish I caught that week, except for the day that it rained, caught all of them on the 6-inch, the 6-inch. Back then it was a 6-inch fat ace. I use a lot of net bait stuff now, but back then I was using gambler stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, it was, I just do, man, that 6-inch one's the deal.
It's hard to beat. Do you ever weight it in any way when you're fishing? You fishing it weightless the whole time?
Texas.
Absolutely. I weight it. If it's flat calm, I'll fish it weightless for sure. If it's flat calm and it's isolated cover where I can fish it weightless and still be efficient. If I have just a little bit of breeze, I'll go with a 3/16, sometimes even a 3/32, just enough to get it to sink down. Sometimes if it's windy, I'll use a 5/16. It just all depends on the wind.
Sure. Well, I'm just curious. What's your best if you're looking at them? What's the difference? What's your bait change if you actually see them?
Whatever I can get them to bite. Like seriously, I know that was super vague, and like I have two. Like in the springtime, I have 2 boxes in my boat, two big, Bass Mafia big boxes that I have just a hodgepodge of stuff in there. Like, because if you just got to start changing through baits, like I always start with the stick worm, but if they're not reacting to that, I mean, I got little craws, I got creature baits, I got lizards. I mean, I got these little bluegill things. Like, I mean, just a whole gambit of stuff. That's when you just start changing. You just start going through stuff till you see them go, oh, like something that I don't like that.
I don't like that.
Right. And then but another thing that I do too, I use a heavy duty drop shot a lot when I'm sight fishing, bed fishing. I use the drop shot a lot. And here, and without getting into too much of a discussion, one of the reasons is, so what is a fish doing when it's on the bed? It's protecting its eggs. Okay, fair enough. How does a bass feed? Well, a bass doesn't bite anything, just like JK just did. A bass doesn't bite anything. A bass inhales. That's how he feeds. He flares his mouth open, flares his gills, sucks water through his gills to bring the prey into his mouth. Well, if he goes down there and does that on his nest, well, he's doing 180 degrees from what God built him to do. He's screwing up his eggs.
He's sucking the eggs in, moving them around.
He's disturbing the eggs.
Right.
So when
I
you
never
get
thought
one,
about that.
When you get one that's really tough to bite, tough to get to bite, if you put a dry, and I'm not talking about 6-pound test and an 18-inch leader. I'm talking about flip and stick, 20-pound fluorocarbon. A real hook, whatever you like to use. I like a straight shank trocar, but whatever you like to use, in like a 1/2 ounce weight. So I can't, it's hard for, like, I can work the bait real erratically, but the sinker doesn't come off the bottom. And I'll pitch it in there, and then I'll let the bait, give it some slack and let the bait come down to the bottom and then pop it back up, and almost like it's trying to eat the eggs off the bottom. And that fish is much more apt to hit it up here than it is to come down here and go like that. And it's just, it's way faster.
That's so cool. All these years I've been fishing and throwing in I never thought about it, that, the fish would disturb his eggs, and the drop shot in that instance is a real killer. I know GDP, who's, on the show often, is, he said drop shot is his number one go-to sight fishing tool as well. But
I'll tell you what, honestly, Pete, what my number one sight fishing tool is, and now we're going to drift a little bit from the blind bed fishing, but it's going to circle back around real quick to blind bed fishing. So if I'm going down the bank in the springtime and I see a fish on a bed, say it's on the bank and there it goes, that's what I do. There it goes. I don't stop immediately, put my power poles down and start throwing something at it. No, I just remember as it's going by, I look back. Oh yeah. So the really bright green bush next to the log, the first branch coming off the log, it's right in between okay. And I just keep going till I'm done with that stretch. Okay. And then I let that, and during that fish is calming down. And then I'll circle way back around. I stay way back off that fish. I pick up a 7.5 foot medium heavy rod, 20-pound line, a Texas rigged stick worm, stay way back, fire it up there, catch that fish, and move on. None of that going on. You will catch so many more fish if you know where it is, you see exactly where it is. And once again, I'm talking about in clear water. But we're going to blind bed fish it when we come back. But you saw the fish, you saw where the bed was, you leave it alone for 15 minutes, you come back, stay way back, make one long cast up there with a stick worm, 90% of those fish, you're going to catch it on the first cast.
First cast.
First cast.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's
So
crazy
I gotta bring up another JT story that's one of my favorites. It has to do with sight fishing. But what do you tell your co-angler there, JT, when you're pulling up to one that you've identified maybe in practice or something, and she goes ballistic on something? You know, they'll do that this time of year. She just goes ballistic before you ever get to her on a bluegill or something. What do you tell the co-angler?
Hit the net.
He did that. He did that.
I could take you back to the pocket on Santee Cooper where that happened. So this is a true story. So I don't remember if it was a tour event or a series event or whatever it was, but there was this funny story, and I won't drag this out too long, but there's this big backwater lake that had some deep water in it. And it's a good place. And like these fish will pull in there. And it was right when probably the second or third year that the Alabama rig had came out. And in this deep water, backwater pond, but it was a pretty good sized pond, had a lot of deep water in it. Several guys had found that there was big females staging out in the deeper water, out in that 9, 10, 12 feet of water out in the hydrilla in that pond. And they were out there catching them on a Alabama rig. And I was catching some fish on some pre-spawn stuff, cranking. Well, as practice went on, it got warm. And I went in one little area where I had been catching some fish cranking out in the grass with a medium running crankbait. Nothing. Ended up going up on the bank and found 2 nice fish locked on the bed, and I caught them. And I said, man, I know a place where there's a wad of fish, but there's been a bunch of people in there fishing. But if those guys haven't got on this deal yet, it might be a place worth going and checking real quick. And I idle in this pond, and I literally idle through these guys flailing Alabama rigs out in the middle. And I get over to the sunshiny bank, and I stop and I put the trolling motor down and I start trolling up towards the bank. And as I'm trolling up towards the bank, I see this massive boil on the bank, and this bluegill just go flying out of the water. and I look up there, and all I can see is a bed the size of a tabletop, and this 2 bluegill went flying, and then this giant carp looking thing go back across the bed again. I just tapped them with power poles down, and I said, "Hey, cuz, why don't you grab that dip net?" and I went on a tear down that bank, and I got about 4 of them great big ones got in the live well before all them dudes throwing them Alabama rigs out in the middle all just went straight to the bank, and they all started. But at least I got 4 big ones picked off before they did it. But yeah, that was kind of funny. And I'm surprised JK remembers that. But that's exactly. I said, "Hey, why don't you grab that dipper, cuz this is about to go down."
How big was that bluegill chaser?
I think I had 5 that weighed 29 that day. I think, and I weighed in like a 3-pounder. So the other 4 were pretty fair.
That was a 9.
Pretty fair.
Yeah,
it was a 9. I remember it was a 9.
Yeah, but that was on drop shot. But but like I said, on a 7.5 foot medium heavy, I probably had 20 or 22 pound test fluorocarbon on it. So when I say a drop shot on the bed, I'm not talking about the spinning rod and 6-pound line. You know what I mean? I'm just talking about as far as the rig, it's a weight on the bottom and 6 or 8 inches up as a hook, but it's still a flipping hook. It's still a straight shank hook and a 1/2 ounce weight. It's just rigged like that.
Yeah, a 9-pounder. That's a fair size fish. That's a good one. Fair,
pretty
tough
fair.
one to call.
Yeah, Riz, let's give away some more stuff.
All right, sounds good. So Kyle B wants to know, when you're fishing for spawning bass that you can't see, is it better to cover a lot of water or sit down and really pick a place apart?
Both. No, seriously.
Love it.
Till you figure out what they're on and start putting it together. Yes, go. And that's not just spawning, that's anything. Cover water, but once you start putting it together, I always say 1 bite means nothing 2 bites on the same kind of stuff means everything.
Right. Yep. 1 bite does not a pattern make. I see it a lot, Riz, and we're going to fish. We got the BFL on the Chesapeake on Saturday. We'll see them colony spawn there, where they, once you find the right juice, the right bottom hardness, the right amount of grass mix, and they actually start bedding down. It seems like they call all their friends and girlfriends, and they just have a big party.
I like to party. More the merrier. Let's go. Come on, let's spawn.
Yeah.
Let's spawn. I like it. But that happens there they colony spawn, and you see it with smallmouth sometimes too, where they'll get in areas and you'll start seeing them on every single boulder. So that's interesting. Sometimes you can just pull down and just radio cast around the boat, and they'll just keep coming.
Yep, I've seen that with those smallmouth, not only on the Great Lakes and St. Lawrence River and stuff, but I've seen them like that on the Tennessee River too. Like Fort Loudon, Tellico, Pickwick, places like that. Like you'll go down a pea gravel bank for 4 miles and never see a smallmouth, and then you'll see 9 in a row, like just dum, 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 like right, just all together, like it's the same thing.
Yep.
It's pretty interesting.
One of the cool things, and I know we got a lot of guys that fish for smallmouth, and one of the things that I do for smallmouth is when you see a smallmouth spawning, a lot of times you'll see them on that basketball size rock. It's like, it's all small rock, and there's like 1 or 2 big ones.
And that's what they like.
That's what they'll put to bed there. And it's so cool because you can, like, if it's windy and you can't see the fish, you can still see the boulders, and you don't even, and smallmouth are so aggressive that you can just throw to the boulders, and they're so mean, man. You can throw to the wrong side of the boulder and they'll swim up.
They'll go over there and get it.
And go over there and get it. And that's going on up Thousand Islands right now, BTC. You're missing it.
I think it's a little early for that.
Yeah, it is a little early. It's still pre-spawn, but he got invited up there to fish a great stretch of water on Thousand Islands. Hadn't made it up there yet. So.
I'm sure you could go up there and catch them right now, but I don't think they're on the beds yet.
Nah, they're pre-spawn.
Yeah.
Big as hell. All right, so I got a question that came in from random guy in a green bass boat on Stick Marsh about 2 weeks ago, and his question is, JT, do you know who I am?
Awesome. I do know who you are. Apparently you're a 10-time billiard champion.
Tell us the story.
Oh my gosh, that was pretty awesome. So has anybody told the story yet, or shall I?
Tell the story. Tell the story, please.
I like story time.
So I'm down on Stick Marsh the other day, and they're biting. I mean, it's fun. It is fun. They're biting, and I'm filming another episode of the Fishing Show with JT Kenny for My Outdoor TV, and we're fishing along. And I mean, I'm not saying this to be like, hey, this is me or whatever. I have to set up the story for you. So there's myself and my new Falcon bass boat, and there's a cameraman in the back of my boat, and then right beside me is a camera boat with another cameraman in that boat.
We know the camera guys.
Right. So we're making, to the casual fisherman, we're making a little bit of a scene, right? Because, we got cameras and we're doing all this stuff. And this guy just starts trolling at me. And I'm like, maybe, at first, maybe it's a buddy of mine. Maybe, who knows? This guy's trolling at me, and I'm not thinking anything other than, I'm paying for these camera guys. This is one of my jobs is doing this fishing show. So I hope he doesn't hold us up long. That's really all that's going through my head. And the closer he gets, I start realizing I have no idea who this guy is. And then all of a sudden he gets up close to me. And he just says, hey, you're JT, right? I'm like, yeah, being nice. Just, hey man, yeah, I'm JT. You know who I am? And I was like, at first it kind of took me like, it must be one of my friends. Cause who does that? Who just pulls up to somebody and says, hey, you're JT. Hey, do you know who I am? And I just
I know a few people around this way that would do that, but
right. But so during this exchange, he's getting closer and closer to me, and then I realized, no, I have no idea who this cat is.
It was Tim Kelly,
right? And then he starts saying, I'm the 10-time world billiard champion or something. And I'm like, I may be a little bit of a smart ass if you guys haven't realized that. But at some point, though, I know when I need to remove myself before my witty comments maybe get me in a little bit of trouble.
I've been doing that all night, JT.
So at this point, we all realize that this is for real. This guy is actually talking about how he's the 10-time billiards champion and all this. And then he starts going into how he knows Bill Dance. He knows Jimmy Houston. And he's been on Charlie Moore's fishing show before.
Come on.
And he paused. He paused when he said that. And I said, oh, man, sorry to hear that. And let's say he didn't pick up my sarcasm and kept wanting to tell me some of his accolades in the fishing industry, which I was very unimpressed with, and realized that I needed to remove myself and my crew before the situation escalated. So we just trolled off, and he continued basically to chase us, to get us to acknowledge his accolades. And eventually he lost interest because we passed another boat, and he started to tell them about his accolades in fishing. And we basically had to, once we got away from him, basically lost him, if you will.
Yeah, shook him.
We had to stop and have a good laugh, because that you don't see that every day.
No, that's a good one, man.
Yeah, it was amazing. And nothing about that is made up. That is factual information from like 2 weeks ago,
Yeah,
maybe 3.
So I heard it from our old intern, Eric. He was with,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's my guy, man. He was out there with...
Dude, Eric, I have worked with Eric several times over the last few weeks.
Yeah.
That's a cool cat.
Yes, it is.
That is one cool cat.
Brian, how would you have dealt with that situation? Because you've had similar experiences on the Chesapeake Bay because you have a wrapped live boat. How are you breaking off there?
I guess my first thing is I'm not Ike, right? And then I look to see who's looking, because now I'm embarrassed. You know what I mean? That somebody's gonna bust my ball. But yeah, I don't know. And then I just run away.
Basically, what I did as well.
Yeah.
So we
on high and take off.
I think the move here is now we got to see him on the fishing show.
Well,
JT,
there might be some creative editing going on. Get him involved.
He's already been on Charlie Moore, man. He's good.
Yeah, I mean, I can't believe I didn't get the guy's card.
I'll be honest.
I don't remember his name. Hey, I'm sure a quick Google search of 10-time world billiards champion ought to reveal this. I can tell you this: billiards championships must not pay much, because the boat that guy was in really wasn't a top of the line deal. I'll tell you that. Not that you need a top of the line boat to catch bass, because you don't. I would just assume, and this may be wrong, but I would just assume that a 10-time world billiard champion would have been sporting something different. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Alex, if you're watching, Google search, see how much a world champion billiard guy makes.
10 times.
10 times.
10 times over.
Yeah, I don't even care. I'm watching that episode, JT. I want that interaction. I want to see you and him on the front deck all day.
So,
him telling you stories and you trying to get away from him on the front deck.
Shaking and moving. Bernie Sanders, baby.
Interviewing him about his Charlie Moore experience.
Bernie Sanders?
Yeah, Barry Sanders.
Barry Sanders, bro.
I said Bernie Sanders, dog. Barry Sanders.
Whichever. It's fine.
Oh my Lord! Brian, do we need to take a break now? What are we doing?
Sure.
You're in charge.
Yeah, I need another one of these. So
You know, we're gonna take a quick break. JT, I know you got a broadcast tomorrow. If you want to hang with us, we're gonna be back talking a little bit more fishing. Or
I'll hang out for a little bit.
Okay. Well, we're gonna take a quick break, couple minutes, and we'll be right back with more JT Kenny, Bass University Live.
Moment on the water not spent fishing is a moment wasted. That's why Minn Kota and Humminbird have joined forces to bring you the One Boat Network. Products that communicate and integrate to help you take full command of your boat. Born from our commitment to making the most advanced fishing gear even better by making it work together. The One Boat Network will help you find, get to, stay on, and catch more fish. When One Boat Network products talk to each other, they can navigate your boat automatically. They can give you a crystal clear view of what's below with no messy wires. And they can let you lower, raise, and change shallow water anchor modes from anywhere on the boat. But that's just the beginning. We're never done innovating, integrating, and making your boat simpler and easier to control. All so you can make every second on the water count.
Tackle Warehouse is proud to sponsor the FLW Pro Circuit and is the official tackle retailer of FLW, providing proven bass fishing gear as well as the newest and hottest tackle. Our friendly and knowledgeable customer service staff can help you every step of the way. And we offer free ground shipping on orders over $50. Tackle Warehouse, everything for the bass angler at the lowest prices. Guaranteed.
I have to be constantly on the lookout for new techniques to stay on the top of my game. Some have been more successful than others. The finesse fingernail happens every time. The chain gang.
Broke it off.
The crow's nest.
Never let go.
And don't even get me started on tackle management, especially trying to stop rust and corrosion. Peanut butter. Not good. Motor oil. Gotta keep the rust off all these baits. WD-40. Gotta keep the rust off. Silica, toothpicks, Q-tips. The list goes on and on. I'm hard on tackle. I fish fast. I need my tackle organized and protected. I can't be worrying about losing baits to rust. And when it comes to tackle management, there's only one solution. Flambeau tackle storage systems with Z-Rust technology. The original anti-rust tackle box. Uncompromised clarity. Renowned durability. The infused anti-rust option that is FDA safe and free of harmful chemicals. The organization options are endless, but there's only one. One box, one anti-corrosion technology, one family-owned, American-made brand, Flambeau Z-Rust Tackle Solutions. Preserve, perform, repeat.
We find out.
No, we need to.
And
we live?
And we're poking live.
And we're live.
Poking here on a Tuesday night.
Very nice. Very good to have you guys back with us, and appreciate JT hanging in there with us. I heard some other spawning habitat that creeped up during our
Speaking
conversation.
of poking, we're spawning tonight.
Perfect. Where you talked about holes in the eelgrass.
Yep.
As another place to look for spawning fish. One of the other things that I think is key, and this is really important, and JK, you and I discussed this. I remember talking to you about it on the BFL. Like, you were catching them in the shade of the walkways, and I'm like, if the shade of the walkway disappear, you got to get into the sun drenched areas, and that's key, right? So obvious, right? If you're going to be looking for spawning fish, it's got to be in a location where the sun can reach them, and that's that's just I think a really big key. Other places.
How do you go from shade to sun drenched? What are we talking about?
Well, if the sun is up, well, go ahead, Pete. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, if in order for the eggs to hatch, they've got to be hit by the sun. So they're going to lay their beds that in a location that is hit by that sun in the high part of the day, sometime where the sun is brightest, noonish, So it can be in the shade certain part of the day, but it's, so you're going to be looking for on a stump, you're going to be looking for the sun drenched side of that, in the afternoon. Those types of bush, same thing. The places where the sun is getting penetration. That's what that's where you're going to target your casts for when you're blind fishing for fish. Well, here's some other ones I got. Dock pilings, another one. They're gonna put their beds on dock pilings. Great place to look for them. The afternoon sun shining on the dock pilings. Blow down trees. They love to put their beds on blow down trees. Pad roots you talked about, holes in the grass, milfoil stalks. Here, and I want to ask you this, JT. This is I have 2 places that I've seen spawning fish that freaked me out. They're the coolest places I've ever seen fish spawn.
I was going to go on something like this too, but go ahead.
Well, the one, I'll take the first one. It is in 80 feet of water in a piece of standing timber in the crotch of the tree. They'll put beds down in 5 feet of water, and right in a piece of standing timber out in the middle of the lake.
Yep.
Crazy.
Yep. And some of the crazy things I've seen too. Same thing. I think it was on Lake Havasu in Arizona. It was someplace out west, and I saw fish over, like you said, I don't know if it was 80 feet, 180 feet. I don't know. One of those ultra gin clear lakes with the big marinas.
Mm-hmm.
The fish were actually spawning on the floats, but not like flat, like it was on the vertical float, and they had actually fanned off the algae off of the black floats vertically, like this, not horizontally, vertically. And they were spotted bass, and it would be like the whole float, and then there'd be a round bed, and there'd be a spotted bass sitting right beside it. Like it's the craziest thing. But I've seen what you said about the standing timber. I've seen that too. I remember one place, I don't remember where it was, but there was like a log that was laying in some standing timber that was almost, like horizontal. And there was 3 beds. I'll never forget this. I couldn't tell you where it was, but I can never forget. It's ingrained in my mind. There was like 2 pieces of standing timber with a log laying between the 2. And they were spotted bass, and there was 3 spawning on that log, and it was like 40 feet deep. Now the log was only like 4 or 5 feet under the water.
Right.
But they were spawning along that. So it's pretty amazing. And I've also seen them in like sunken marinas where like they were spawning, like a marina that was knocked down by a tornado or something.
Yeah.
And the floats, there was like a float under the water, over like 30 feet of water. And there was a fish like under the dock, but like the float was under there like that. There was one spawning in there. It was still the float was like 2 feet under the water. Like they'll spawn in some weird places. There's no doubt. As long as it gets light penetration and there's a hard surface that they can protect those eggs on and get those eggs to stick to, they're going to do it.
So you think that the sidewall of that marina, you think that those sticking those eggs to that sidewall, you think is what they're doing?
Did it work? I don't know, but we saw it. It was Andre Moore and I, and that owns Reaction Innovations.
Yeah,
we saw them all through that marina. They were the rectangular floats. Well, on the side, the vertical side, there would be a bed vertically, not like this on the side of it, and there'd be a spotted bass sitting right next to it.
Wow!
And we saw we didn't see any big ones doing that. And did it work? Did the recruitment happen? Did they hatch? I have no idea, but I know they were spawning on there. Now, like I said, whether it actually worked, I don't know. But
JT,
I assume it did, I guess.
How many successful spawns have you? I mean, how many times have you spawned?
Wait a minute.
And how many times was it successful? You know what I mean? Like,
I've not. Been
what really is the
ever.
point? Is what I'm saying.
I completely agree.
So you bring up something that's.
Who cares?
I've never
you bring
tried
up
to be
something. Yeah, you've been successful at not being successful.
Correct.
So you bring up something with the light penetration, right? So the cleaner the water, then the deeper the bass should be able to spawn if there's light. So the more I think about it, our spotted bass in my region, like Lake Lanier, Lake Hartwell, I'm probably about to give something out that certain people are probably not going to be too happy about. But these main lake spots, these big fat ones that are down there on the main wide open
Never
lake,
leave the main lake.
they don't leave it. They don't go to the bank. They spawn out there in 10, 15, 20 feet of water. And now I'm starting to realize that the water clarity, you know, because every now and then you might get a lot of water. The water might be a little green, like 4 or 5, 6 foot of clarity versus like some years you might get 10 foot of clarity. So that's why every now and then they're a little bit deeper, a little bit shallower. Key little place to look is, you know, some points. And I think the biggest tip that I'll give away that I've learned, this is not experience, it's learned from some of the best around here, is wherever you can find the least amount of current.
Yep.
And those depth zones where those offshore fish can get around the least amount of current, they'll spawn way out there. You won't be able to, it's blind bed fishing. Even if it's clear water, it's blind because you can't see it.
So here's this is a fact. So some of our viewers might know this and some of them might not. Kim Stricker, I'm not sure if he still has the show
Hook and Look.
Correct.
Hook and Look.
Exactly correct. So I was at Smith Lake in Alabama one time and Kim happened to be there and was doing a show, and they found several, and not necessarily even great big ones, but they were down by the dam in Smith Lake, Alabama, near Coleman, Alabama, where it's really, really, really clear water and a very steep, deep lake. Down by the dam, him and his son, they would fish a little bit and then they would dive with cameras and go film stuff underwater. They found 3 or 4 spots on the bed, like guarding the bed down by the dam in 24 feet of water.
Wow.
On the bed. Now it's really clear water.
Right.
You know, like you can see the bottom pretty easily in 15, 16 feet down by the dam. Yeah. But they were down there in 24 feet and they found, you know, a stretch of 3 or 4 spots right there spawning right at the bottom of the rocks on the dam.
Right.
In 24 feet.
Man, that would be a really cool thing to look at on the AquaView cameras.
It would be.
To drop it down and look at fish on a bed in 24 feet of water. Like, I wonder if they act differently. Do they respond differently to baits or?
See
they're easier to catch.
I don't know about that.
Here's my strategy on that. The deeper the spawning bed, the easier, the more comfortable they are, the easier they are to catch. You know.
Yeah, I agree.
So 20 feet, first drop.
Yep.
That would be
and
my
you
guess.
get over top of them and just drop it straight down.
Right.
So I got a question on the
spots. Sorry, Rich. Real quick.
Yep.
It's not to say all those spots are gonna do that. Like they'll still.
No, I think that's extreme. That's extreme condition.
Found one at Lanier. I remember a story one time. I told you I remember everything. He found a great big old spot spawning in a laydown, but it was what 6 to 8. Yeah, you caught it in the tournament. 6 to 8 feet deep or something, right?
I think it was.
How big was that spot?
It was 5 something. Yeah, but no, I caught it in practice, and I weighed it in the tournament. I caught it again in the tournament.
It's awesome.
Same spot.
Great.
you could see the laydown. It was probably 15 or 16 feet deep. You could see the laydown. It was down by the dam on Lanier. You could see the laydown, and you could see a light spot, just barely. It had to be calm, but you could see a light spot in the bottom of that tree. And in practice, I fired up there I could see the tree laying out there. And I was like, the end of it ought to be about right there. And I fired a shaky head out there, set the hook, caught it. And I was like, holy crap, that's the biggest spot I've ever caught. You know, let it go. And I let it go. And then I just kind of trolled across the end of the tree. You know, it's way down underneath the water. I just trolled across the end of the tree and I look in there, and in the very last branches of the tree, there was a light spot, and it was one of the only beds I saw. It was an early March tournament. It was one of the only beds I saw, but I was like, that's a friggin' bed, like for sure. Like that's a bed. So I fished around in the tournament and I get on a good dock pattern and I did really well in that event. But the first day of the tournament in the middle of the afternoon, I was down in that area and I fished a dock near there. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go over there and throw at the end of that tree again. Just, you know, why not? Right. Like, you know, there was a bed at the end of the tree and I caught a 5-pounder there. Dude, I went over there first cast, caught that fish 5-pounder. Like, it was on a bed. Like,
That's awesome.
There is no doubt in my mind it was on a bed, and it was 15 feet deep, probably 15, 16 feet. And you figure if you truly want to know how deep it was, your trolling motor is 2 feet in the water. So it was really 16 or 17 feet deep.
Wow.
Wow. I'm waiting for you guys to have a tournament on spawning smallmouth where a guy can catch 100 pounds on one fish.
That's going to be a little weird, and we're probably going to see that this year because in the end of June we're going to the St. Lawrence River.
I've seen movies like that
so
on the internet.
I don't know how that's going to go. I you know, this is, I think there should be, I don't know what the rules should be on that. I mean, I know what the rules should be. You shouldn't be able to catch the same fish twice, but how do you know?
Right.
So here's what I'm saying. How do you know? Because Pete, you and I both just talked about how smallmouth spawn in colonies.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're staying back, firing out there to a group of boulders in 20 feet of water, and hey, all of us sitting here on this panel right now know you can catch a smallmouth 3 or 4 times in a row before he finally says my lips hurt. Right. You can.
Sure.
But how do you know it's the same? Yes, if you're in 4 feet of water and you got one on a boulder right there, yeah, I can tell you that's the same fish. But when you're in 12 or 14 feet of water and there's just a bunch of boulder flat out there and you're just firing a drop shot out there, how do you know if it's the same one? You don't know. It's a slippery slope.
Yeah, no, I want to see it. I want to see them catch it over and over and see how many times they can catch it over and over. What do they got to do to change? You know, after you
tracker update 4-2, score tracker update 4-2, 4-2.
I know.
They start going down to 4-1, 4-0, 3-9.
It's going to be like Ike. It's like, you know, he's going to start out drop shotting a worm this big, then this big. It's going to be this big, and it's going to be his 20th fish catch.
Right, and it's the same bass on the same. Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know. Like, I'll guarantee you, and I don't have a problem with this, but some of the fish that were caught today, sight fishing on Sharon Harris Reservoir, are going to be caught again tomorrow and weighed in.
Yeah,
they're going to be.
Yeah. Tomorrow's the final day, right?
I hope Ish catches that giant.
So
Ish is found a straight up giant.
I hope it's a public waterway, but man, I hope some local didn't go in there and mess with that fish all night and catch it, because Ish had her bite. Dude, it's huge. Ish had her bite.
How big is it, JT? How big? 10 pounds? Is he 10 pounds?
Oh, it's 10.
It's every bit.
It's 10 for sure. It's 10. It could be 12 or 13. I don't know. It's really, really big.
Come on, come on.
I was texting Jake during the broadcast because they were showing an aerial of it, and I was like, dude, I can't see it. Like, I felt like Pete. Like, him and Marty are talking about how big it is. I'm like, I can't see it. I can't even see it on TV. Like, what the heck? Well, then I saw it, and I was like, oh, it's obvious. It's gigantic.
Oh, it's a tank. It's a straight tank, dude.
He's starting tomorrow. He's going to see a frog.
What time's the broadcast start in the morning? Everybody needs to tune in.
So it starts at 7:15 Eastern time.
Yeah.
And lines go in at 7:30 Eastern time. So at 7:30 on the money, Ish is going to make a cast at that fish.
You got to see.
Yeah, I mean, he told me. I've already talked to him since the line's out today. He said, "Oh, Jake, I am first cast. That first cast, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, like." And the cool thing about it is, he said when he found that fish, see, he was already in. Like, he didn't need to catch anymore. He just wanted to catch that fish because it was a $50,000 fish. Because today our big fish was $50,000. Tomorrow the big fish is $100,000.
Yeah.
So it's $100,000 to win and $100,000 for big fish. But the cool thing about it is, he said there was a bunch of good ones up and down that bank, like 3, 4, and 5 pounders up and down that bank, laying on bed everywhere. But he said, when I saw that big one, he goes, because today I was already far enough out there that none of those 3 and 4 and 5 pounders were going to do me any good. He was like, I have to fish here again tomorrow. I'm already in. I have qualified for the championship round with what I have right now.
If I was Ish, I would sleep on the lake tonight. I would put the power poles down and I would legit sleep on the boat.
So we
get away from
that. We were like, do you go back out there and sit and just guard that fish so nobody else throws at it all?
Do it all night, bro. 100 G's, come on.
You need a Brian the Carpenter in your life to send out there.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
And wait
send
for
BTC
this. Wait
out
for
there.
this. You say 100 G's, right? I argue with that. If you start out with let's just say it's an 11 pounder.
Uh-huh.
I honestly, I've caught some big fish in my life. I think it's bigger than that.
Oof.
If you start out with that, you've got a really good shot at $200,000.
200.
Yes, 200.
You know what I'm saying? That's not.
It could be a $200,000 fish.
Is it too late for us to enter the Derby?
I believe it is.
Yes,
I believe so. Yes, unfortunately.
Hopefully, there's not guys out there right now. So
it's gonna be interesting, man. If he could catch that and all those other fish he's talking about up and down that bank, I mean, this could be our boy Ish could be in for a wild ride tomorrow. Wow. I can tell you this.
Well, being you said that, I'm putting you on the spot. Who wins this tournament tomorrow?
Ish, if he catches that fish, Ish is on him anyway. Ish could be really good. How can you downplay Brian Thrift?
Uh-huh.
You know, I mean, the guy, he's just amazing.
Best in the world right now.
He's not sight fishing.
Brian Thrift has never been on that lake before.
That's what I was gonna say. So JT, 2 anglers are fishing tomorrow in the championship that got a bye.
They got a
right?
bye. Yep. But now Fletcher has been on Sharon Harris before. Brian Thrift has never been on it. He's never once in his life.
He's from North Carolina. Ain't never been there.
Yep. Fact.
Crazy.
Wow.
How was Brian catching his fish? I did not get to see him fish
with a cigarette. And
he caught him on.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
cigarette in the side of his mouth and a bait caster.
That's right.
No, he caught him on a frog, and then he had a couple really shallow offshore rock piles, like real shallow, like 2 to 3 foot deep.
He can't help himself.
He caught most of them on a frog.
Super sneaky.
So
awesome.
Yeah, but he's never been on Sharon Harris. But so how can you count him out? How can you count Wheeler out?
Right.
You know, anybody that's in it, you know, is good.
And they zero, right? Everybody starts at 0 tomorrow.
Everybody's at 0 though, man.
Ooh.
Everybody's at 0.
Wow.
You know, but some of those guys today, you know, started out with top water, like, and Ish was tuned in. I mean, like, he started out with top water. I think he was throwing a pompadour to begin with,
okay.
and then a frog after that, and then he transitioned. Once the sun came up, he transitioned into sight fishing. I mean, he was dialed. Dude, Andy just lapped everybody though.
Yeah.
Like he got in an area where he was just smoking them on a vibe jig. But the other thing too, like, tomorrow's gonna be different, man. Like today, it was calm pretty much most of the day, other than a few gusts of wind. It was pretty calm. It was sunny. It was really good for sight fishing. And Sharon Harris really isn't that clear. So like we were talking about earlier, they were doing a lot of blind sight fishing or just getting a glimpse of a tail or something like that, and then working that area over. But tomorrow, man, 10 to 15 out of the south. Cloudy in the morning, turning into thunderstorms in the afternoon. Those guys that caught him sight fishing today, I don't think it's going to work. And that's one of the reasons why I say, and this doesn't have anything to do with him and I being really close buddies. It's one of the reasons why I say Brian Thrift, because all the guys that did good today now have a preconceived notion in their head about what's going to happen. Brian doesn't have that, and neither does Fletcher. but Brian doesn't have that. So the conditions are going to be, everybody that made it did some sort of bed fishing today. Brian has no idea about that. He can't watch anything. He can't do any of that kind of stuff. Completely different conditions, rain, wind, overcast. Brian Thrift wins by 5 pounds. That's my prediction.
5 pounds. All right. Write it down. I'm writing it down right now.
And,
5 pounds.
and Brian Thrift just texted me this just in. Will you please tell JT to stop picking me?
The mush.
Jake, did you put the whammy? Are you putting the whammy on Brian Thrift? JT?
No, I'm not putting the whammy on him. I'm trying to make sense out of all this stuff.
That's cool.
That is cool.
But
good luck, Brian. Good luck, buddy.
But seriously, that's why I'm saying that. Everybody else now, I know fishermen. You know what I mean? Like, they're all. They have, this is what I got to do. This is what worked today. This is what, and Thrifty Pop has none of that in his head. He's clean.
Will offshore play at all tomorrow?
In those conditions,
got some.
We
shallow
saw
rock
Mark Davis try to do that today,
right.
and he caught quite a few in one area, but none of them scored. None of them were 2 pounds.
Wow!
And now tomorrow, giddy up. Tomorrow is a 3 pound minimum.
Ooh.
What?
So it's got to be
I didn't know that.
It's got to be a Trey's pounder before it even counts.
Heavy hitters.
Yeah, so that's heavy hitters, exactly. So you got to catch a substantial critter for it even to hit the score tracker.
That's cool, man. I like it.
Sounds like Ish is in a good area then.
You better get out.
No,
your
it is
6-inch stick baits tomorrow. Nothing but 6 and 7 and 8-inch stick baits tomorrow.
JT, what was Lefevre pitching? What was his soft plastic?
So it looked like he wasn't real forthright with what it was, but it looked to me like it was some kind of stickworm most of the time. Now I'm not going to tell you he did that all the time, but it looked like a fair amount of the time that I could get a glimpse when he was pitching it. It was a stickworm.
Because he was talking about 10-pound test and two-aught hook and downsizing.
Yeah. And hey, and he did good. He did.
Yeah.
Like a little Texas rig Ned deal, almost.
I don't want to sit here and tell our people that, because he never really held it up and showed it, but he was talking about 10-pound line now on a bait caster, not on a spinning rod, but he was talking about 10-pound line. So
yeah, 1/8 ounce weight, 2-aught hook. I was just curious what he was pitching. Adrian was throwing a 4-inch stick worm with a
4-inch general.
Yep.
Yeah, he was throwing a general with a little tail spinner on the back. He said that tail spinner was a big deal. He said as soon as he put that on, he started getting bit.
Yep. Pete invented that back in the early 1880s.
1741.
Yep. Before
that's what Facebook said.
Pete invented it?
Pete invented it, before barrel swivels and everything.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
It was. I had a barrel of rum I was drinking.
Speaking of barrel of rum, I need to get that beer.
Inspiration just came to me, and that's how we have the tail spinner.
Okay, I'm back.
JT, I know, man. I appreciate you hanging out with us, and I wish you best luck. We're all going to be tuning in tomorrow. And,
man, it's going to be fun.
It's going to be. Do you think Ish is going to catch that fish?
Dude,
oh God, I hope so.
I'm with JK. I hope so. God, I hope
me
so.
too.
But dude, he had it bite either three or four times. He had it bite, like legitimate bite. When I was watching on the drone, we had the drone up above the bed.
Were you actually in the drone? And that question comes from random guy in a green boat on Stick Marsh from 2 weeks ago.
Right. or flying it. I wasn't flying the drone either. But no, that fish, and I don't think Ish could see this because we had it split screen and Ish's body language didn't change. But that fish actually stood up on its head 2 or 3 times on that bait, on Ish's bait. I don't think Ish could see it. When it would get on the left side of the bulrush clump it was spawning on, there was a couple of times when, how they do, they kind of turn up and you can see that white side and everything. It did that a couple of times on his bait, and I don't think Ish could see it. So I don't think Ish realized how close he was to catching that fish today. Dude, and obviously maybe I'm going to be biased in saying this because I want it to happen. I think he's going to hook that fish on the first cast tomorrow morning. That's my prediction. He's going to hook it. I don't know if he's going to land it. Who knows? I really think if he blind casts a big creature bait or a big Senko or something, not a frog, if he blind casts a big creature bait or a big Senko up there, he hooks that fish in the morning. Whether he lands it, that's between him and Big Mama.
All right. Well, everybody in the world's going to be watching now.
7:30.
We got to see this. Awesome. We're all setting. We're setting our alarms to Justin Kimmel's ringtone so that we all can.
Hey, I got a theory. So Alex, our buddy Alex, just said something on the message board, and it was kind of running through my head too. Maybe Ish is being sneaky, and he was just priming that thing. Maybe he felt it bite like 3 times and just shook it off. You know.
I believe, but no, he was trying to catch it. There wasn't. I could tell.
That's funny, Alex.
Yeah,
that was funny. Alex.
Ish called me like I don't know, probably 20 or 30 minutes after the period ended, and I answered the phone, hey, and he said, dude, it's big. Like he didn't say, hey JT, he didn't say anything. He goes, dude, it's big, and I go, dude, I saw it. Like I saw it better than you did. I was looking at it from 100 feet up. Like I don't know if you know how big it is. Like it's big, dude.
Why would you want to catch it today and not tomorrow, though? I mean,
well, it'd have been $50,000 today.
On it tomorrow.
She's gonna swim right back there. Maybe you catch her twice.
Dude,
maybe he catches her twice tomorrow.
He's right. I mean, you got to catch while catch can. You don't know what tomorrow brings. Weather's changing. That fish could be gone.
Eat, drink, and Murray for tomorrow. You may die.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't know that much about North Carolina spawning fish, but I can tell you when you find a great big one on a bed in Florida, she's not there the next day. A great big one, you know, like a 8, 9, 10, 12 pounder. She's not there the next day. She's on that bed one day.
Because she is very loose and needs to spawn with many other males.
Jesus, Peter.
So she has to get it done. She got to move from one bed to the next, you know? But we are going to let you go to bed, JT. Thank you for hanging
I
out.
I don't have a big female with me. I'm in Oklahoma and my female's in Florida, so I'm gonna have to go to bed alone.
Well, we appreciate you hanging out with us tonight and sharing some great knowledge and excitement about the tournament tomorrow. Really appreciate it, buddy.
Cool, man. Thanks, guys, for having me. I appreciate it.
JT,
great,
you're the man,
JT
buddy.
Kenny. Thank you.
Thank you, big brother.
You.
See you, buddy.
Appreciate you. That was
big
awesome.
rig.
JT is that is some great stories, man. I can't wait to watch tomorrow, man. It's gonna be crazy.
I can't wait.
Got great stories, man.
Puppy's gonna
that get the net story.
4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and then 7:30. watch Ish catch a big fish.
Dude,
I'm so excited for tomorrow.
I promise you, I've lost my mind. I have my headset on. I'm on the Chesapeake, preparing, looking around, checking out the grass, having a blast fishing. I've got my headset on. I'm listening to live tournament action the entire time with my phone. So in case any of the commentators start screaming, I'm looking down at I'm fishing, but I'm worried about who's catching fish.
Is that why I was 50 yards from you on Saturday and you had no idea it was me? Which is okay. I'm not mad about it.
That's probably why.
And I think he even might have looked at me a few times. I was like, all right, he knows it's he knows it's me. We'll talk later.
You're still incognito.
Yeah.
Dude, I didn't even. I swear it's probably why, because I'm also getting text messages. I have everybody in the Bass University crowd. I make sure that they text me an update on their tournament, like how many they've caught at 11 o'clock. What's the status of their tournament. I've got so much media coming in my brain about what's going on in the tournament fishing world that I'm fishing and I still have to be dialed into what's happening.
You're fired up, Pete.
Man,
it's
fun.
Riz, the boys at the Bay better watch out. We got a defending champ and then the old standards who's fired up.
I'm loving it. I'm having fun, and that's where I'm psyched to be in the BFL, and it's great being down at the launch ramp, seeing everybody at the launch ramp, especially a great Bash U fan who carved a pipe for Ike and gave cigars for BTC to give to me, and he never did. And,
actually, they're here at Ike's in the humidor that you'll never see.
And yeah, he was so.
Sean.
Yeah,
Sean's on the board. What up, Sean?
Yeah.
What's up, Sean? He was like, "What? He didn't give them to you?" I'm like, "Nah."
No, am I gonna drive him to your house? Busy.
Yeah, that's funny. But it was great to see him and everybody there. So I can't wait to fish tournament. It's going to be a crazy tournament. Conditions are going to be just like these guys are facing. Like last 2 days have been warm and stable, and then we got some weather coming in, and it's going to blow, and the Susquehanna River's running hard.
74,000 cubic
hard,
whatever
harder
per
than
second.
it's been all year. It's running right now,
and longer, too.
We're gonna how is the new rainfall going to affect all the backwaters, because it's gonna be a local rainfall. It's you're going to have to make this thing up, but that's what it's all about, is adjusting the conditions and, just fishing what's in front of you. So I'm psyched. I'm psyched for that. And Alex, I just see joins us. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing good. How are you guys doing tonight?
Man, we're having a great
What's
time,
up, buddy?
Talking spawning, fishing. And it's good to have you with us.
We're here. And we're going to have some great questions and the show off.
It's a great Bash University hoodie you're wearing there, man. Looking sharp.
Yes, thank you. You guys hooked it up. Very comfortable. I'm a big fan of it.
Congrats.
Awesome.
I don't even have that one.
Just lucky.
I've heard.
That's good stuff. Did you hear me about the billiards guy?
I did, yes. So I Googled it, and the first article that popped up was comparing WWE salaries with billiard salaries. And it didn't tell me too much, but it did sound like either way, you will make a chunk of change if that is your profession. So if you want to pursue that instead of professional bass fishing, maybe go down to the bar and get some practice in. But we did get a comment in on YouTube. Let me just go back here and find. I can't remember who said it, but someone said they remember the name Mike Siegel being a 10 times billiard world champion. So maybe that was the guy's name. I'm not sure. We may never know.
When I looked it up, the first guy I found was Pankaj Advani from India.
Me too. That's who I found.
That guy.
And I never found
in Florida.
I never found an American billiards champion. So if his name was Mike,
Mr. Billiards champion, if you're watching, man, come on, let us know.
Please.
You've got a green boat, Alex. Can we get a little fashion show on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Pick up the camera. Got the Bass U.
Okay.
Is that a black?
I do like the strings. It's gray. It's kind of hard to see. Epic Eric told me I need to keep my light off in the background. It looks better, and I'm smart enough to listen to him when he talks. So
it does actually look
great.
Better.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we got the gray and orange hoodie. I'm a big fan of it. I also have that blue one with the little lines in it. I like that one as well. So definitely some good stuff over on the BU store. And I believe that is a member benefit. Correct me if I'm wrong, Peter, Justin, that you get a percentage off at that store with your membership. Is that correct?
Check it out.
Absolutely.
Our subscribers definitely get hooked up. So go over to members benefits area and check it out. We have the new Bash University hat that's going to be available on Tackle Warehouse soon, very soon.
Yeah.
But so I want to just give a shout out to Jason Christie. We're going to be talking to him in the winner's circle. He won.
Justin?
Yes.
Awesome.
We're going to be talking to him on Thursday, and that's going to be released on Bash University almost right away. And it's our winning ways content that we're filming at Bash U, but it was just so awesome. Jason came back to the elites, and I'm interested in how he won. He won by being Jason Christie, almost, stubborn about it, like not giving up on a pattern that was destroyed by rising water, by 2.5 hour boat rides, and he won that derby. So it was a great win. Congratulations, Jason, and look for that coming on Bash University.
Yeah, and his big motto coming back, Pete, was he's got unfinished business. And I think it's because he's, blown a couple of classic leads that just weren't his dude. And he's licking his chops when they announced that it's going to be back at Hartwell, which, he was final day leader. Jordan Lee ends up coming back and winning that one. He also has an FLW Tour win in the same spring of the year at Lake Hartwell in the pre-spawn. So, he's immediately a heavy favorite. I don't see him, not qualifying for that classic. So,
yeah. But we saw that this was interesting because, like, I saw when, out at Grand, where he stuck to his guns with that big spinnerbait bite, and it cost him. And this time he stuck with his guns and he wins. And it's like, man, how do you ever question the guy? He knows how to get in the winner's circle better than anybody. And looking forward
6 elites, right? I think he's won 6 elites. I think he's won 6 blue trophies and then his slew of FLW ones. There was one we never got on film where at Bull Shoals he's in 10th, and back then they only put 6 camera guys in the boat. He's like last to get in the top 10 and has some intuition. It's pre-spawn. I mean, it's very pre-spawn out at Bull Shoals, and the guy's like, oh man, I got to put my spook box in the boat. Then drives to where they're just schooling nuts and puts 20 pounds in the boat and comes back and wins, blows out the field. And we never got to see it on camera, because they couldn't get a camera to him fast enough.
Wow. Well,
dude's amazing.
He is amazing. We're going to be talking to him. Look for that on Bash U TV. Alex, what's going on over at YouTube?
Absolutely. We had a lot of comments flying in tonight, and I'm sure this was a question for JT, but I don't think they can be too disappointed if Pete or Justin answers it. And their question was from Walt. And what Walt wants to know is, do you guys use scent at all when you're fishing for bedfish?
That's a great question. And scent for me is one of those deals where when I'm struggling to get a fish to bite and I can't see him, or I can see him, and I will add scent. I will try to do whatever I can to find the magic button to get that fish to react. But generally speaking, it's still low on the list. The primary deal for me is shape, is position on the bed. And honestly, it's about jumping the fish, where I'm going to do what JT talked about doing. Is I'm going to identify where the bed is. I'm going to let that fish rest. I'm going to come back after a period of time, and I'm going to cast most likely a stick bait, just like JT. And I'm going to, hit that bed when I'm far away, the fish can't see me. That's how I'm going to get that fish to bite. 9 times out of 10. Yeah, you guys use scent, JT or Justin? Do you use scent? Is that important when you're bed fishing?
I've talked about it. I mean, the plastic I caught him on was the Max Scent General, and I'm a big believer now. After John Cox rammed it into my head, I didn't really think it mattered. The Senko was the standard. The Yamamoto is soft, it gets bit, and I don't know, man. I think the Max Scent General is the new Yamamoto Senko. It's they just eat that thing. But John Cox, he's like JT. He's on Team 6-inch, and your boy may or may not be playing around with that 6-inch down here in Georgia. So be tight on again this weekend.
Yeah.
Notice I said again. So
what are you doing this weekend?
Dude, I got the another team tournament. We're coming down. We got 2 tournaments left in the Berries, and we're trying to run our good buddy down, who's 4 pounds ahead of us right now. He was like 10. Oh, dude, we started off. Matt had to fish without me. I had to fish. Well, I say I had to fish with my wife, and she's the one who kept us in it. She caught a 6 and a 4. We just didn't have a good January, February swing. We didn't get off to the greatest start this year. Just had some mediocre bags.
In January, we were watching it snow twice a week.
Yeah. And mediocre, that's just, welcome to my life and everyone else probably. Certainly mine. I'm waiting for
but no, the Wacky Rig has been putting putting fish in the boat for me all spring, really since the BFL at Oconee. But this BFL, I caught a really, really key fish. Sight fished that one. And I mean, I pitched the general over there, and that one spun around and kind of eased up to it. And I was like, oh, please just eat it. And she went down on it and got it. You know, that was a key fish. It was probably my third biggest fish of the day. It wasn't one of my fives, but
it don't matter, JK.
Key fish.
You fish with your fishing partner, you fish with your wife, your daughter, whatever. It just, everybody's catching them in your boat right now. So,
you know, and maybe this is a good segue to my top 5 list if we want to go there.
I think this is a great segue.
Alex, who was that last YouTube question from?
That was from Walt. So Walt, if you're on there, we'll go ahead and have you slide us your email, and we'll go ahead and send you out a $25 Gills Gear gift card. So Walt, if you're still watching, send that in. We'll get you hooked up.
So yeah, you know, guys, I appreciate the, you know, all the love and the comments and stuff, especially from all of our subscribers. I love hearing from you guys. You know, we're on a good little run here. We've got had a lot of success in tournaments, and you know, just can't really explain it. But I'll tell you what, one thing I am doing is I'm still watching a lot of Bass U TV. Well, because it's my job. But the other piece is, you know, it's kind of part of become my routine. You know, I've talked about it.
On the way to the lake, Justin, is that what you're doing?
On the way to the lake, when I rig, Bass U TV's on.
Are you using
when I'm
the
rigging
app?
the night before? All the time.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Yeah,
that's
100%.
It's so funny that you say that. Like, that's my new thing too, is every time I'm driving to the lake, I have the app on because I can close the phone, you know what I mean, and keep playing it. And I'm listening to a seminar about something that I think might be relevant for that time of year. It is great.
Dude. Awesome. And this is no joke, guys. We live and breathe it. I mean, I remember practicing at Oneida. Me and Pete get on a flipping smallmouth bite, and I'm like, hey, man, Greg Hackney did this seminar. And we're listening to that seminar twice, you know, while we're driving to the boat ramp and stuff. That was years ago. But no, I mean, it's there's always like one little thing. You know, it's not like you're going to be like, oh, I'm going to do exactly what the seminar says. It just keeps your mind fresh and open to things that might happen, because you're going into tournament day. There's a lot of changing conditions. You know, if you could land right. But that's my top 5. You know, we're running, I guess, 5 top 10s in the last 5 tournaments for me, and I'm going to give you.
Wait a minute.
Top 5.
Wait a minute. 5 top 10s in the last 5 tournaments.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Did you guys hear that? That's very hard to do, man. That's amazing run.
I'm very thankful for the success and the run, but I'm going to reveal the top 5 Bass U seminars during this run that I will 100%. I got something very key out of each of these seminars.
I can't wait for this.
And these are the top 5 seminars that have changed. Like this one I've already given away like on a previous show, but I'm going to say it again because this one, I suck during the spawn. And for the most part, this last 5 weeks is some element of the spawn is going on. And I've really learned a lot, but this number 1 right here, Justin Lucas, find and catch spawning bass off beds. And it really has nothing to do with sight fishing in it. For me, these lessons in here have absolutely changed the game. There's some very foundational, monumental things that I took from these to be able to put myself around, you know, bass that are weighing the right size, basically. You know, I'm starting to find more females. A lot of guys talk to me all the time about, man, I'm just running into males. You know, all I can catch is males. And I truly believe there's a rhyme and reason to it. And I'd start right there with that seminar. I really would. Another seminar, how to skip various baits under docks, is an on-water seminar. I believe Pete was in the boat producing this one with Wesley Strader. So Wesley Strader, how to skip various baits under docks. He's going to teach you, you know, I fish a lot of docks down here, and he's going to teach you how to skip some non-conventional baits under docks. And I really have started to do that. Some swim baits and some spinnerbaits. Been pretty key for me. Muddy water bass fishing by Jordan Lee is the third one on this list. Got a lot of rain earlier, about a month ago. A lot of you guys are starting to experience it up there. What happens when your watercolor gets a significant change? You know, a lot of times this is happening during the pre-spawn, you know, right there leading up to the spawn, those month before. And that's really the season that Jordan dives in this seminar. I mean, he talks about muddy water fishing throughout the year, but you'll get a lot out of it right now for those of you guys who are still encountering spring fishing and muddy water. It's a great seminar. I would debated on whether or not to put this on my list, but Patrick Walters' brand new seminar on spinnerbaits for kicker bass. Spinnerbait has been back in my arsenal big time this year.
Man, that's juicy right there.
Have only told a couple of buddies, but caught a 5-pounder on spinnerbait this Saturday in my BFL. Doing things with it that Patrick talks about that have never been conventional for me. You know, I started out my first spot. I actually got boat number 2. Didn't know what to do because I had caught one fish in practice on Friday on this last BFL on Sinclair. And I decided to go to a community hole because I knew there'd at least be some keepers, and I just knew I needed to get some keepers in the boat. So I go to a classic spot, classic spinnerbait area, right on the bank, put four in the box. And, you know, it took me 4 or 5, I guess about 4.5 hours to get my limit fish. That's the one I told you I sight fished with the Max Scent General. But I kept going, you know, backing out, and I did something that stuck with me from not just the conversations leading up to the crafting this seminar with Patrick, but he says it in his seminar on using these spinner baits in kind of areas where guys aren't throwing them. One being, you know, off the bank, down the gut of a pocket in like 10 feet of water, you know, anything isolated target, isolated piece of cover, you know, anywhere kind of that's not on the bank. Pulled the spinnerbait out, it was a huge fish for me this week. And it's really, that seminar really opened my eyes on bringing the spinnerbait back into my arsenal. It's been awesome this year. And then the number 5 will surprise nobody because I pounded this one to death and I listened to it again on my way home. Let's see, I listened to 3 seminars before this last tournament. But one of them, just coming back, I had to drive back from vacation, and just to reset the moment in my mind, fish the moment with Ike.
Yes.
You know, and I really decided that's how I'm going to fish as a boater. It was so successful for me as a co. I am not giving in to preconceived notions. I set alarms on my phone. I did. You know, when I found fish in the BFL at Oconee, I did like the 1 hour rule, you know, kind of in my head, like give it an hour because I found good fish. Well, I didn't have anything going on. I was doing it more like Brian Thrift, 15. Like 15 minutes this time. You know, get into an area, they'll tell you if they're there, and worked out a couple good decisions. But the fish the moment is always going to be foundational for me. And if you guys haven't watched that seminar, you're missing out. And so I leave you with that. This is my top 5. They've been amazing seminars for me this year. And I'm going to give you all a bonus for those of you who keep hearing about the BFL on the Chessie with Pete and Riz and the BFL crew. There's a lot of guys here. They might get mad at me, but I'm just going to give you one. Pete's going to get mad at me.
Uh-oh.
But if you
all
guys
right, we're gonna go to commercial break, and we're gonna move on to
your bonus one. If you're gonna go fish the Chessie or anywhere in the northern half of the country this week, I would go watch Pete Glusek's on water seminar on how to fish for big pre-spawn bass. So there's your bonus Bass U TV seminar for our northern friends.
Would you believe me if I told you I listened to that driving down this one of the days this weekend? Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. we're never going to get to throw at those pilings, Riz.
Yeah.
They're going to be.
You have to put it like that. You know? Come
No,
on.
they're going to be tagged. They're going to be Google searched. They're going to be Google Earthed. But no, that's awesome. Great list, by the way. Except for that last part, JK. You know, we're going to have to.
I told you you're going to be ticked at.
Yeah, we're going to penalize you in some way. I haven't figured it out yet.
No, you just make him. You just squeeze some of his juice out of him and all that stuff he holds. You know.
Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. Hey now. Right, turn around is fair play, right?
Something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
But
hey, put
great
it on
list.
TV, man.
And we got great new subscribers during the show, and we've got a lot of new subscribers coming to Bash University TV all the time.
You got any names?
We love
Bob
it. We
Dabalina?
appreciate you. Of new subscribers?
Yeah, Mr. Dabalina.
Who's Mr. Dabalina?
Mr. Bob Dabalina. It's a new subscriber tonight. Rich?
Yeah.
There it is.
He's in. Welcome
All right.
to the family, buddy.
Welcome, and enjoy the program. We know you're going to love it. We know it's going to help you catch more and bigger fish. That's why we designed it.
Speaking of catching more and bigger fish, Pete, I got to give a quick shout out to our guys over at Sea Clear Power. So I like you, Pete. I run 360, and I know you have the Sea Clear Power in your rig as well. But I mean, I've had it in for a little while, but now, holy crap, am I seeing the power of really being able to get the crispest, clearest image that I can, specifically on my Humminbird 360, because we all know this time of year how valuable those little tiny spots are on that body of water that we fish. Mm-hmm. And it's no longer a guessing game. It happens too much where I'll say to my buddy who I have on the back of the boat or anybody I'm fishing with, I'll say, we're pulling up on we got some good stuff at 2:00 or at 5:00, 6:00, and we'll make that cast and catch a big one. It's not random anymore. It's not a guessing game. And that is, you know, I experienced it a little bit last year with the Humminbird 360, but now with the Sea Clear Power harness that I'm running and, you know, getting full amperage to that unit out of the AGM batteries, it is something that if you're serious about maximizing your time on the water and you want to really get the best out of your graphs that you possibly can, you need to check out Sea Clear Power. Use our code
BASSU.
Just go get it.
Yeah.
Just go get it.
Use our code BASSU. You're going to save 15% on it. And dude, I'm telling you, the install is so easy. It's the easiest install to a boat. I did it by myself. I'm not the best at this stuff, but I did it. It took me less than an hour. They have a great video on their YouTube channel of exactly how to do the install. It's Nathan and Jason Lambert. It's cut and dry, straightforward, and instantly you will see a difference in the performance of your graph. So
we have a good buddy, Jesse McGee, who's a big fan of Sea Clear Power as well.
He is. He sure is. So guys, go check that out if you haven't already. It really is the best way to get everything out of your graphs, and that's important, man. It's really making a difference for me already. So
all right, me too. And everybody that's using it knows exactly what you're talking about, Riz. And
I need to get that 360 on my boat. I've got a Lowrance unit right now. I want to get the Lowrance Live, and then pair that with a 360 unit on that little boat.
I gotta say, I was out on on-water training trip yesterday. I guess it was yesterday, and we didn't have 360 on the boat.
Did you freak out?
I'm telling you right now.
Did you feel like you were naked in class?
You felt lost.
Yeah.
You like the confidence that that you have with 360, knowing exactly what the habitat is all around you at all times.
It's so huge.
It's invaluable.
Yeah.
It's absolutely invaluable. Where we're working with side imaging, GPS, and 2D sonar, and they're amazing tools. They're the tools that I fished my whole career with.
Yeah.
But they're great for investigating habitat, learning, structure, identifying bait fish and all that kind of stuff. But once you put the trolling motor down and you start to make that cast, you're looking around for the 360. It's like, where's it at? Like, all right. So you're trying to hit targets off your waypoints, which is, I've been doing it for 10 years, know how to do it, but it's with 360, it eliminates all that. You can get your first cast on the target, not your third, fourth, or fifth cast. It's your first cast, goes right to the target.
Yeah, my
it's
makes
absolutely amazing.
I need that.
Yeah. Well, you had to pause to de-throttle the trolling motor and then
Dude,
step
my
back up.
hamstrings are smoked. They're finally a little bit better today, but I had to bend down sometimes 2 and 3 times per cast. I was bending down and doing micro adjustments on the throttle. Just a little more, a little more. All right, perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
You better now? You back to normal?
No, never. I don't think I'll ever get back.
You got to pass the dog on. You take it to the kennel and get some sleep.
For real.
Hey, well, we have a Facebook like and share grand prize contest. Riz, what do we got? Who's the winner tonight? Can you put that together for us?
Yeah. So the first thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna dish out this this grand prize trivia question, which is going to be $100 prize pack with some Bass University official gear, some Gills gear, missile baits, TH Marine troll jacket.
There's a pair of scissors right there too.
Yeah, and
we got a trivia question.
Yeah,
That's
but Pete,
awesome.
with our guys, these guys are dialed. It's gonna take milliseconds for us to get the answer. And the question that we're gonna go with tonight is, what is JT Kenny's ideal bed fishing setup? We need details. We need the size of the worm and the color on this rig. And I just gave some of the answer away just by saying that. But we need the details on this. What's JT Kenny's go-to sight fishing rig?
Okay.
Hey, we have a winner.
So Pete, that 5-pounder I was referring to on the spinnerbait, first cast thanks to 360. Absolutely.
Is that 100%. Right?
JK, what's spinnerbait?
It's so huge. Huh?
What's spinnerbait?
What? What? I can't hear you.
Double Willow, Colorado, gold, silver.
It was double willows. The water was really clear. That fish came out of about 7 to 8 feet of water on a isolated target in the middle of the entrance, but the middle, out there in the middle, right in front of a spawning pocket.
Okay.
But I was going back in there in practice and idled over it. There's like 3 or 4 fish. And I couldn't zip back around because I saw it on side imaging, and it was a classic pre-spawn isolated target. And the conditions.
What did your 3 or 4 fish look like on mega side imaging? What did you see?
They're little yellow dots with a little bit of a shadow to the side of it. Like, the more you can see, the more you'll realize there'll be like a little bit of a shadow, to the side of it as well.
The
so
shadow
you're looking for
is so key.
Yes, the yellow dot accompanied by the shadow, that's a fish.
Yellow dot. You got a different palette than me.
I'm using the same palette. If you watch Ott Defoe's seminar on mega side and 360 imaging that he did.
We're gonna have to start charging you extra for Bass University TV viewership.
Why?
That's too detailed. That's amazing. So you use Ott Defoe's color palette. That's what you chose.
Yeah, I don't have time. I get 1 day of I take 1 day of practice for BFLs. I don't practice for team tournaments because my partner will usually get out there maybe a day. And honestly, I got 3 kids. I work for Bass U. So why not take all the shortcuts I can get? Bass U TV is the ultimate shortcut.
Yeah, it is.
So if Ott Defoe, who's already competing against Live Scope and everything else out there, yet he's still taking people's money with 360, I'm going to do it the way he does.
You're going to use his color palette. I
Absolutely. So yeah, that's I can't even tell you which one it is because I just went and set it up. I popped the seminar open, got his stuff, went boop 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 boop, and now I'm set for the year.
And I want to give you props because you said it, but it's a big deal. You beat a field of 190 boats to win your BFL, probably half of which spent a week on that body of water, and you did it with 1 day practice. And you went out and won that tournament. You did the same with this tournament where you took 5th place. So
yeah, I got a theory on that. I think I'll always practice just a day for a BFL because here's the one thing BFL anglers, and there's plenty of these guys listening. So I'm going to throw shade on BFLs for a second. These guys don't know how to shake off fish. These aren't the pros. Okay. Right. These guys, and that's okay. We're out there to fish and have fun. These guys have jobs like us. They're going out there. This is their week they took off. That's fine.
Yep.
But every single fish that is up and ready and available for a BFL is getting steel put to their face. Yeah. That's not happening on the Elite Series. That's not happening on the Tackle Warehouse Tour. You know, those guys are catching fish for checks and money to survive. They're not gonna, they know better than to see a 5-pounder and put steel to its face, you know? But the BFL anglers, they're gonna, you know, so I almost think it's better not to practice too much, get about a day's worth of information. And, you know, my practice on for Oconee went really well and I won. Practice this last week on Sinclair was horrible. And I tried to catch a few and only one 13-inch fish got in my boat, you know, the day before. But you just try to acquire enough information about what's kind of going on and then just roll with it. I'm no expert though. I'm sure I got a slew.
Well, you're going in that direction, JK. You're going in that direction. Keep going. We're super proud of you. Proud of your representation for Bass University. There's no better spokesperson than you. Appreciate all you do for us.
It's my honor, buddy.
Well, it's been great having you and great cheering for you, and we're going to keep doing it.
Yes.
And you know what I want to do? I want to figure this out. And we're going to say it live on the air right now. I want to figure out how Riz and I can dial people into what's happening to us on our competition day this Saturday.
Oh,
you know,
maybe we can do a practice vlog that'll come out like afterwards.
No, I want to see the pain and suffering as it's happening. You know, I want to see it. I want to hear it.
I'll have a camera running, but you know that content will come out a little bit after.
No, I want live updates. I love it. I can't stop getting it from my guys. You know, like I want to hear what's going on with everybody, and I know our crew wants to hear. They're gonna want to hear what's going on with us, whether it's going well or whether it's not going well. When it's not going well, it's the best. I
got a better chance of ever having one paid vacation day in my entire life than the rest of people have of seeing Rich post content during an event. It's not.
Well, I'm going to spy his white power poles, and I'm going to go over and I'll get his.
Pete, I was within 25 yards of you, bro, and you didn't know it was me.
Well,
hey, man, you can't even see the perch, man. Come on.
What can I do?
You can't see the perch, much less his white power pole.
There was no perch.
Did he say perch?
There was no perch.
You can't see the perch. Oh, that's brilliant.
The perch don't exist, and
I love the idea. But
I
think we need to have Alex move to our area, and he'll be our camera guy. He'll be like our Kyle Vandiver. You know,
we need that. And Alex, I love you. That's a great idea. But we need to give like text. We need to have a bass track. Riz and Pete bass track. We need that for
my
this
phone
tournament.
doesn't leave the rod locker from the blast off until I pull back in that no wake zone.
That's all going to change on Saturday.
Pete, just pay Riz's co-angler $100 to stop and give the update, and there you covered his entry fee just to get the updates.
Yeah.
We got to figure it out.
Alex, anything good happened on Smallmouth Crush last night? Were the guys live?
Yep, we did go live for a couple hours. We went about 2 hours without Travis having a little meltdown, but it was only about 5 minutes. It went well. We got it over with. But yeah, he's down in Chickamauga fishing the Ray Scott Championship. And let's see. So yesterday was a Tuesday, and he said that on a Tuesday on Lake Chickamauga was the most bass boats he has ever seen on a body of water in his life.
Wow.
Yeah.
Maybe them losers.
Yesterday was a Tuesday. Today is Tuesday. Or
Monday then. Yes.
Days different.
No, they have two of them. they don't work. They take two Tuesdays.
Oh man.
So it didn't take long to get.
It's all the same.
It didn't take long to get a winner for that question. And the winner of that is Mr. Lee C, which is a black and blue 6-inch stickworm with a chartreuse tip.
Black blue with chart tip?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
So congratulations, Lee C.
It's the winner according to Riz.
Yeah, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Apologize to all you guys that had the blue tip worm.
Well, it was chartreuse tip, right, Alex?
No, it was a blue tip. He
blue
said
tip,
a neon blue tip is what he said, but it's all good.
Yeah, that's what Lee C. That's what Lee C said. He said black and blue fleck with a neon tip.
Blue.
My brain said chartreuse.
Neon blue.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. JT said neon blue, so it's all good.
Lee C got it.
Hook the man up.
All right.
And our Bash University live Facebook like and share is Kevin Doherty from Minersville, PA. Congratulations, Kevin Doherty. You won tonight's Facebook like and share. Thanks for supporting the show.
Congrats, Kev.
Nice.
Up there in cold cracker country.
All
Rocks in the
right.
box. Minersville.
Outstanding.
Yep.
Well, guys, we learned a lot. We spent a lot of great time with JT. It was awesome to hear all the stories and learning about Justin Kimmel's really feminine ringtone.
Tonight was a fun show, man.
Yeah,
it was.
It's always fun. Anytime you got JT Kenny involved, it's you're not going wrong.
It's very cool. And stay with us. We got a lot coming at Bash U. I know, Brian, I'm supposed to talk about what's coming at Bash U. I'm going to do that real quick. We've got swim baits and heavy cover with Bobby Lane. We talked about Bobby tonight.
That released today.
What kind of swim baits are we talking about?
Those ones that you buzz in like pads and like the bulrush type grass or what the reeds or something down in Florida. He does that. He's
this, that, and the third.
Yeah, skinny dipper type stuff, but
right.
I think he's using 65 pound braid or something. I mean, it's a beefed up deal. I learned a lot. I was on the water for that one, and I learned a lot about that deal. And you can, that is not just a Florida grass pattern. I mean, guys are doing it here around the house certain times a year, instead of a buzz bait, they're using that. That's a big deal.
JK, how much of your success do you attribute to being a part of the Bass U shoots and things like that?
There's over $100,000 worth of, yeah.
Okay.
100%.
Because I mean,
without my job at Bash U, but also without just absorbing all this information, I wouldn't be. It's about. I'll give credit half and half. Half I'll give to my tournament partner Matt Henry, fishing with him for 15 years.
Sure.
The guy's a hammer, and I got to be his tournament partner. He's one of my best friends in the world. He's taught me so much around the house and just how to make decisions on the water, all that stuff. But then the job at here and just constant information for 6 years, guys. And my brain has been turned on with bass fishing constantly for 6 years. Without Bash U,
you'd still be throwing a Senko.
No, dude, it was worse than that. You should have seen me set the hook. I mean, I've been in the boat with Leslie.
Wait, what could be better than that?
Dude, I couldn't set the hook on it. Like, I didn't even. Dude, I would reel down on a Senko bite and try to jack their faces, slack crack them. And JT and Wesley Strader both scolded me, for that, being in the boat with them, early in my life. But
But that's an experience you can get as going into events as a co. Getting draws like that. I've gotten draws with pros fishing, opens as a co-angler. Where they get
I'd say this. Co-angler is great for learning. I'll say this. Co-angler's great for learning. And I've made it my job to make sure that Bass U TV is 100 times better than trying to rack up 30 co-angler events over 4 years. It's a big win for me to pull the information, out of these guys, and it helps. And, we get to pay these instructors so that they'll give it up.
We do.
But, it's Bash, to answer your question, life-changing amount of success because of the information that's readily available on
and
Bash TV.
It's not just available for JK. It's there. It's there for everybody. Yeah. And that's why we built it. And JK, you're having success. You're having success because your mind is wrapped around it and you're diving into it. And you would be doing that no matter whether or not you work for us or you work somewhere else because that's what you love.
Yeah, but before Bass U TV, there just wasn't that. It was so saturated. It was the same little tidbits and articles, and then YouTube, there's plenty of information out there.
There is. Yep.
But it's a lot of it's just the whole conversation with what we're committed to is 100% and always will be educational. So it's the educational versus sensational content. Sensational content builds followers, it builds clicks, it does that part, and we stay right here in our own little educational lane. And hopefully it'll be, bigger and bigger as the time goes on. I want everything that you can do to catch a bass to be on Bass U TV by the time all of our hats are hung up,
Well, you're doing a great job for us, and credit to the content and all the instructors that work for Bass U. We work hard to vet all of our instructors, and we're delivering content that is real by guys that are champions. They're winning at the highest level and giving away great pieces of content like we heard from JT tonight. So this is the stuff that's real. It's going to help you. And we have a Facebook like and share winner. Riz, do we want to give one last call for that?
It was our man Kevin Dougherty.
We already did that.
Yep, from Minersville, PA. He already hit me with his address. So congrats, Kev. You got a G-Force Cull system headed your way.
Outstanding.
Ooh, sweet. I love that new one.
Oh, that's the deal.
Brian, give some Advil PM to the puppy, and maybe you can get some sleep.
That thing's awesome. Is it? Yeah, I can just tell it's an awesome dog.
I just want to
high octane.
Oh my God, just relax, bro. Just come on, can we just cuddle? I don't know. I just want to snuggle with him.
We had the
chomp.
We had the anti-axle in the office today. We had Kate Flood's new Basset Hound puppy, Prue. And Prue, all Prue wanted to do was just lay around and chill.
That's the dog I wanted. I didn't know I wanted that dog until I got this dog, and then I realized, all right, man, I got a lot older.
There's a trick that
you can't tag team with Heather and say, Heather, it's your turn. Can you let him out?
Dude, who's wearing all four of us out in the house?
Really?
Yeah. Well, he don't have a job. He don't got jobs in school. His job is to wear us out. He's winning. He's great at it.
He's great at that. Not so good at walks.
He's terrible at walks. Terrible at sleeping past 3 o'clock.
Well, hey,
I appreciate you.
I appreciate you hanging out with us tonight. Next Tuesday, we got Tackle Warehouse hanging out with us.
That's correct. And Sunday night, Ike Live. There's going to be an Ike Live Sunday night. Guys, keep your eyes open for what's coming. And yes, Tuesday night we'll be back again. I think we're going to have Corey and Daniel from TW in-house with us, probably Ike. And we're going to dive into some really cool, fun stuff, fun facts and figures and statistics. Maybe we'll get some TW guys on, like, what's his name with the stash? Jared. I'm tired. Yeah, Jared
Lentner
from South Jersey. We got to go to bed. Good night, guys.
Thanks everybody for watching. Good luck catching spawning fish and get some sleep.
Good luck catching
BTC.
spawning fish. I ain't caught one in 15 years.
We've all learned a lot. Thanks a lot. Thanks, Alex, JK, Riz, BTC. Thank you guys. Good night, everybody.
The #1 name in underwater cameras, Aquaview helps you discover what's really swimming beneath the surface.